Chapter 856. Very soon, Qing Menjing put on her clothes and came out from the other side of the curtain. When she saw Xiao Chen's perverted appearance, she could not help but frown and ask, What did you see just now? Don't lie and tell me the truth. Xiao Chen scratched his head and said honestly, Actually, it's nothing much. I just think that your back view is pretty good, but your taste in tight-fitting underwear is a little weird. He really didn't expect Miss Cheng's underwear to have a Doraemon pattern. You. What do you know? I like Doraemon. Qing Menjing was about to lose her temper, but she still pouted and muttered. Hearing Xiao Chen complimenting her back, she was actually a little happy. Qing Menjing suddenly remembered something important and quickly asked, By the way, why did you come to the Cushion sect? She was busy with cultivation all day and didn't want to see those annoying guys, so she wasn't well informed. She was also confused about Xiao Chen's recent situation. I thought you already knew. I'm here for. Xiao Chen told her about the crusade. However, in order to explain the origin of the crusade, Xiao Chen simply told her about his recent experience. Only then did Qing Menjing understand the cause and effect. What? You're already a cultivator at the peak of the second level of the Devil King? Qing Menjing was a little shocked after listening. She didn't expect the useless Xiao Chen who couldn't cultivate to be so powerful now. How is it? Are you envious of me? Do you regret breaking off the engagement? Xiao Chen looked at Qing Menjing's shocked expression and said proudly. Qing Menjing looked at Xiao Chen's smug expression and snorted angrily. She pouted and said, What's so great about it? I've also cultivated the Weaver's Heart Sutra and now have the strength of the first level of the Devil Master. It won't be long before I surpass you. Ni's Heart Sutra? The name of this mental cultivation method is quite unique. Could it be that her uncle invented it? Xiao Chen held his chin and said thoughtfully. It's the Weaver's Heart Sutra. What are you thinking about? How uncultured, country bumpkin. Qing Menjing cast a sidelong glance at Xiao Chen in annoyance. Just as she was about to mock him again, the door was heavily kicked open with a bang. The two of them turned their heads and found that it was Yao Baoang who had rushed in angrily. As soon as he came in, he pointed at Qing Menjing and scolded, Qing Menjing, you be *tch, as my wife, you're too shameless. He actually dared to be alone with Xiao Chen behind my back. I already knew that there was something wrong with you too, and now I've caught you red-handed. What else do you have to say? When Xiao Chen was stopped at the door, he did not go out, so he did not know what happened. Later, he found out that Xiao Chen came to the Cushion sect and went directly to the Qing family's side courtyard. Yao Baoang immediately felt that something was wrong and immediately rushed over. He rushed into the Qing family's side courtyard and found that there were only Qing Tianqiu and Qing Zhongming in the dining room, so he went straight to Qing Menjing's room. Qing Zhongming originally wanted to stop him, but he was held back by Qing Tianqiu. In Qing Tianqiu's view, with Xiao Chen's strength, the current Yao Baoang was nothing at all. Yao Baoang had just approached when he heard Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing's laughter coming from inside, and they even said something about tight panties. He was instantly enraged, and there seemed to be a hint of green on top of his head. He could not help but break the door and enter. Yao Baoang, what's wrong with you? When did I become your wife? Did you take the wrong medicine? Seeing Yao Baoang's fierce look, Qing Menjing was also angry and gritted her teeth. Yao Baoang came to her every 2 or 3 days, and he always said something irrelevant, which annoyed Qing Menjing to death. Usually it was fine, but now Xiao Chen was here. What if he misunderstood? Wow. You still don't admit it? You green tea *tch, scheming *tch. Ouch. Yao Baoang's nose was crooked, and he was about to scold her again. Suddenly, he was grabbed by the neck, and then he was thrown out of the room with a strong force. I didn't kill you directly because I didn't want to dirty the room. Don't be so shameless. Get out of here. Xiao Chen patted his hand and threatened Yao Baoang, who fell on the ground. Your name is really funny. Why don't you call yourself Duck Neck King? When Xiao Chen saw Yao Boang's indignant expression, he could not be bothered to waste his breath on him. He directly revealed his strength. Huh? You are at the peak of the second level of the Demon King. Yao Baoang climbed up. He originally wanted to scold again, but he suddenly withered when he saw this. He braced himself and said, Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you are strong. If you dare to touch me, sect leader Ma and my master, elderly, will definitely not let you go. Pa. As soon as Yao Baoang finished speaking, Xiao Chen strode forward, waved his hand, and slapped Yao Boang's left cheek. Yao Boang's left cheek suddenly swelled up. I don't agree with your point of view, but I swear to defend my right to punish you. Xiao Chen crossed his arms in front of his chest and shook his legs like a playboy. He squinted at Yao Baoang. Don't mention beating you. Even if I kill you, Ma Minxiao won't say anything. If you don't believe me, why don't you try? You. Very good. Remember this isn't over. Yao Baoang covered his swollen face and said, You, for a long time. Finally, he left a harsh sentence and ran away. He had to leave. With Xiao Chen's current strength, he might really kill him if he was unhappy. Xiao Chen, you are now a guest invited by Ma Minxiao. Isn't it inappropriate to offend a disciple of the Quishan sect? Qing Menjing was a little worried. Although Xiao Chen's current strength was indeed very high, he couldn't go against the entire sect. It's nothing. Don't worry. Ma Minxiao doesn't care about such a small matter. Besides, he wouldn't dare to do anything to me. Xiao Chen shrugged and said nonchalantly, All right, Missy, let's go eat. Grandpa Cheng and Uncle Cheng are still waiting. Qing Menjing hesitated for a moment, but she still nodded. Since Xiao Chen was so sure, she didn't say anything else. She had an inexplicable sense of trust in Xiao Chen. Qing Menjing and Xiao Chen walked toward the dining hall. When they saw Qing Tianxiu and Qing Zhongming, they didn't say much. The family sat down to eat happily. Yao Baoang returned to his room dejectedly, feeling very gloomy. He had gone to look for his master, elderly, and told him about how Xiao Chen had beaten him up with an aggrieved expression. He had hoped that elderly would stand up for him, but to his surprise, not only did elderly have no intention of helping him, but he even reprimanded him. He even said that Xiao Chen was an honored guest of the Kuei Mountain sect and that he was not allowed to disturb him, or else he would have to bear the consequences. Yao Baoang recalled how his master didn't stand up for him after he was slapped by Xiao Chen. Instead, he scolded him harshly. Yao Baoang had nowhere to vent his anger. After thinking about it, he simply pulled a servant girl from the sect, closed the door, and forced himself on her. He only let it go after ravaging her mercilessly. Anyway, even if he touched such a servant, he could just give her some benefits afterward. It wasn't a big deal in the sect. Previously, he was afraid that Qing Menjing would use this reason to break up with him, so he didn't dare to mess around. But now that they had fallen out, there was nothing to be afraid of. That night, Xiao Chen stayed in the Qing family. Of course, he stayed in the guest room. It was not appropriate for him to harass Miss Cheng. The next morning, Xiao Chen was woken up by the noise. He found a disciple of the Quishan sect and asked about it. It turned out that Yao Baoang was found dead on the bed in the room early in the morning. After the diagnosis of the sect's doctor, it was found that he died of an inexplicable stroke on horseback. Xiao Chen was stunned when he heard the news. Then he remembered that before Yao Baoang left Songming a while ago, he did tamper with his Shinshui acupoint. As long as he dared to fool around, he would die of kidney deficiency. But his father, Xiao Yao, was dead, and Yao Baoang didn't move. Xiao Chen thought that he had failed to do it in a hurry. Now it seemed that Yao Baoang died because he was scolded by him yesterday, and then he couldn't help but find a woman to vent his desire. So, since Yao Baoang was dead, did it mean that the engagement between him and Qing Menjing was invalid? The Quishan sect couldn't let Qing Menjing go to Minghan, could it? Wasn't the reason why the Qing family was put under house arrest in the Quishan sect because they couldn't reach an agreement on this engagement? Since the engagement was invalid, did it mean that they could leave? Thinking of this, Shao Chen put away his thoughts and immediately ordered the disciples of the Quishan sect to find their sect master, Ma Peja. Hero Shao Chen, do you have any instructions for me since you called me here in such a hurry? After receiving the news, Ma Peja hurried over, followed by Ma Yenting. Both of them wanted to know what tricks Shao Chen was up to. After all, Shao Chen was their distinguished guest. If they were to neglect him, they would definitely suffer. Oh, it's nothing serious. I heard that Yao Baoang kicked the bucket, so I specifically called you here to discuss the engagement between him and Qing Menjing. When Shao Chen saw Ma Peja coming over, he didn't get up to greet him. Instead, he sat down casually and spoke unhurriedly. Qing Tianxiu and Qing Zhongming also sat quietly at the side. Both of them knew very well what Shao Chen's purpose was. They knew that he was helping the Qing family, so they didn't interrupt and let Shao Chen express himself in silence. On the other side, Qing Menjing was confused. She didn't know what Shao Chen was up to. Why did he suddenly bring up the engagement? However, since he had called her here, she would listen to him first. Since Yao Baoang is dead, then the engagement between Miss Cheng and Yao Baoang is naturally invalid. Ma Peja said with a smile. He was not stupid and quickly guessed Shao Chen's intention. Wasn't it to cancel the engagement? This was not a problem at all. As long as Shao Chen stayed here, nothing else mattered. Chapter 857. Master Ma is indeed a wise man. Shao Chen nodded with satisfaction, then asked, in that case, the Qing family shouldn't have to stay in the Quishan sect anymore, right? Anyway, the engagement has been cancelled, so there's no point for them to stay here, right? The main purpose of Shao Chen's trip was to take the Qing family away. He didn't care about the crusade at all. Yao Boang's accidental death could be said to have indirectly helped him a lot. Otherwise, he really didn't know where to start. Of course. Master Shao Chen, you're right. I'll send someone to send them back to Songming City. I guarantee their safety. Ma Dehizi quickly agreed. In his opinion, as long as Shao Chen was willing to stay, it didn't matter whether the Qing family was there or not. He also had no reason to offend Shao Chen because of such a small matter. It was better to do him a favor, and maybe he could even get a reward in front of the higher-ups. Wait. Shao Chen was about to speak, but Ma Qingting suddenly jumped out and said with his nose in the air, it's okay for the others to leave, but Qing Menjing can't go. She must stay in the Quishan sect. What the F***ck, are you stupid? Since when did you have the right to interrupt when the adults are talking? Shao Chen was a little displeased. He rushed over and slapped Ma Qingting, scolding, your father has agreed to let the Qing family go back. Why are you jumping out and sticking your neck out? You. Ma Qingting felt a burning pain on his face. He covered his face and stared at Shao Chen, speechless for a moment. Ma Dehizi's expression also changed. Anger flashed across his face. He raised his body slightly, and the strength of a half-step demon king disappeared for a moment. Then, he sat down again. He wanted to mediate, but he didn't know why his sons suddenly flared up, so he could only sit there silently. Shao Chen glanced at Ma Wuxia, then turned to Ma Yenting and said angrily, tell me clearly, why can't Miss Qing leave? If you can't explain yourself, I'll slap you to death. Do you believe me? Ma Qingting opened her mouth but actually could not find a reason to refute for a moment. Rolling her eyes, she blurted out, that Qing Menjing has already cultivated our Kuei Mountain sect's mental cultivation method. Then she's considered an official disciple of the sect. Moreover, she had already consumed many treasures from the Kuei Mountain sect, so she had to stay and continue cultivating. This is the rule of the outer martial world. Hearing this, Ma Wuxiao was stunned. Since when did the outer martial arts world have such a rule? However, since his son had spoken, he must have his own reasons. Ma Minju couldn't say anything more, so he could only pretend that he didn't hear it. In fact, Ma Qingting's purpose was very simple. He had thoughts about Qing Menjing before. Since the last time he saw Qing Menjing, he had been infatuated with her and thought about her day and night. He had even been thinking about how to force himself on her. However, Qing Menjing was Yao Boang's fiancée. Due to this relationship, he couldn't blatantly force himself on her, so he could only endure it for now. But now that Yao Baoang was dead, Ma Qingting was determined to make Qing Menjing stay no matter what. He had waited for so long. Now that he finally had the chance to kiss her, how could he let her go? Therefore, when Xiao Chen mentioned this matter, he stood up to oppose it and even made up a reason at the last minute. Are you serious? As the top student of Songming Second Senior High School and the head of the outer martial arts world's demonic sect, how come I've never heard of this rule? You didn't make it up, did you? Xiao Chen frowned and stared at Ma Qingting suspiciously. Hero Xiao Chen, you've actually just become the head of the demonic sect, so you might not know much about the rules of the outer martial arts world. I'll explain it to you when I have the chance. Although Ma Wuzhao didn't know what his son wanted to do, he had to stand up and help him. Oh, all right then. In that case, I'll make the decision for Miss Cheng. As long as you send Grandpa Cheng and Uncle Cheng back safely, she can stay in the Quishan sect for the time being. Xiao Chen pointed at Qing Tianxiu and Qing Zhongming and said lightly. As for Qing Zhongfan and Qing Mingxiang, since they wanted to stay and be dogs, Xiao Chen couldn't be bothered with them. Everyone had their own ambitions anyway. As for the messy rules, Xiao Chen didn't want to argue with them. Ma Qingting was obviously talking nonsense anyway. This kid insisted on keeping Qing Menjing here, so he must have some ulterior motives. Xiao Chen thought to himself, I'd like to see what tricks this kid is playing. No problem, I'll arrange for people to send both of you back to Songming City as soon as possible. Seeing that Xiao Chen had agreed, Ma Wuzhao quickly nodded and gave the order. After the matter was settled, Ma Wuzhao was afraid that Xiao Chen would cause more trouble, so he hurriedly said goodbye and left with Ma Qingting. Until the two of them were far away, Qing Menjing frowned and said, Xiao Chen. Who asked you to make the decision for me? I don't want to stay here. That Ma Qingting doesn't look like a good person. He definitely doesn't have any good intentions. Actually, I don't have any good intentions either. Xiao Chen scratched his head and said with a smile. What do you mean? Are you going to do something to me too? The Missy took 2 steps back subconsciously. She covered her chest with both hands and looked at Xiao Chen with a vigilant face. No wonder Xiao Chen agreed so readily just now. Could it be that he also wanted to take the opportunity to do something to me? Cough, what are you thinking? I mean, I'm going to let this Ma Qingting fly for another 2 days. After a few days, I'll smack him to death. Xiao Chen shook his head helplessly. The Missy saw that Xiao Chen wasn't interested in her. She didn't know why, but she felt a little disappointed. However, when she heard the latter part of Xiao Chen's words, she began to worry again. You don't always kill people. These people from the Quishan sect are very powerful. Even if you're a powerhouse at the peak of the 2nd level of the Demon King, you're alone. How can you compete with them? Before Xiao Chen could say anything, the first young mistress recalled something and quickly asked, by the way, did you do something to Yao Baoang as well? Sort of. When Yao Baoang went to the Qing family to trouble you guys, I wanted to kill him, but I couldn't find a chance to do it, so I did something to him. If he was a little more obedient, maybe he could live a little longer. Who knew he was so impatient? Xiao Chen shrugged with an indifferent expression. The Missy sighed. She wanted to persuade Xiao Chen not to be too impulsive, but she opened her mouth and didn't say anything. After all, Xiao Chen did these things for her. What else could she say? Menjing, Xiao Chen must have his reasons for doing this. Don't blame him. After your grandfather and I leave, he'll stay by your side to protect you. We'll be relieved. Qing Zhongming also came over to comfort her. He didn't want to leave his daughter alone, but this was the only way. Yeah. Xiao Chen, please take care of Menjing. I don't ask for anything else. I just hope you can find another opportunity to take her away from the Quishan sect. Then I'll be relieved. This is really not a place for people to stay. Qing Tianxiu patted Xiao Chen's shoulder heavily and sighed. I will. Grandpa Cheng, don't worry too much. Xiao Chen smiled and nodded. Now that the Quishan sect needs my help, I'll definitely send you back to Songming safely. If you need any help after you go back, don't hesitate to tell me. I still have some money here. It should be enough to help you revive the Qing family's business. Xiao Chen remembered that when he was in dire straits, Qing Menjing also gave him 20,000 yuan in private. Now that the Qing family was in trouble, he certainly wouldn't stand by and watch them die. No, no, no. How can I take your money? Qing Tianxiu quickly waved his hand and said shamefully, I was muddle-headed in the past, so I did so many things that let the Xiao family down. When I go back, I'll go to the Xiao family and personally apologize to your grandfather. I hope he can let go of the past and give the Qing family a way out. Recalling all the despicable means he used on the Xiao family, Qing Tianxiu also regretted it. Now, even if he was asked to become a vassal of the Xiao family, he wouldn't hesitate to do it, let alone apologize. Hee, you're too serious. My grandfather will definitely prepare a banquet and have a good drink with you. Xiao Chen smiled. At this time, there was a knock on the door. It turned out that the disciples of the Quishan sect had received the order and came to pick them up. Qing Tianxiu and Qing Zhongming simply packed their luggage and gave some instructions to Qing Menjing before leaving the Quishan sect. After sending her father and grandfather off, Qing Menjing looked at Xiao Chen with a faint smile and said, You're really shameless. You can't even protect yourself, but you still vow to protect me. If anything happens to me, let's see how you explain it to my grandfather. Although she said that, Qing Menjing was very satisfied because she knew that Xiao Chen wasn't someone who would brag. He must have a card up his sleeve. Don't worry, Missy. I won't let anything happen to you. Xiao Chen didn't explain further and only said solemnly. The reason why Xiao Chen agreed to let Qing Menjing stay was mainly because he didn't plan to leave immediately. He wanted to see what the Quishan sect was up to by holding this crusade. Since that was the case, it was safer for Qing Menjing to stay by his side. Moreover, he just noticed that Ma Tianxiu was in the half-step Demon King realm. He was probably the most powerful person in the Quishan sect. Killing this guy should be a piece of cake. Moreover, even if other patriarchs or old monsters of the Quishan sect jumped out, Xiao Chen could use the flying sword to escape with Qing Menjing immediately, so he wasn't worried at all. Moreover, Xiao Chen really hoped that some mastermind would appear. In his opinion, the Quishan sect was just a small fry. Chapter 858. The two chatted for a while and talked about what happened recently. When they mentioned Jin Beibei and Shen Jingxian, they sighed. They wondered where they were now and how they were doing. They were so close to each other at that time, but now they were far apart and had lost contact. They didn't know when they could reunite again. After Ma Qingting went back, she stayed in her room and felt very depressed. She was slapped by Xiao Chen for no reason, and she couldn't fight back. Even if she wanted to fight back, she wasn't strong enough. Moreover, she heard that Qing Menjing had become Xiao Chen's fiancé again, so she felt even more depressed. Young master, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so depressed? Which blind person has offended you? Qing Zhongfan knocked on the door and walked in, asking with a fawning expression. It's Xiao Chen, that brat. Today, he humiliated me in front of so many people and my father. He even flirted with Qing Menjing, that be *tch. I really can't take this lying down. Ma Qingting slammed the table and said while gritting his teeth. This. Does Master Ma turn a blind eye to it? This doesn't seem to be his style. Qing Zhongfan was a little surprised. He didn't expect Xiao Chen to be so arrogant and dare to humiliate his son in front of Ma Qingting. Sigh. My father only has the strength of a half-step Demon King. That Xiao Chen is already at the peak of Demon King level, too. How can he be Xiao Chen's opponent? Originally, he wanted to cultivate behind closed doors and break through to Demon King level 1 as soon as possible. Who would have thought that the higher-ups would suddenly organize such a crusade, which forcefully delayed his cultivation plan? Ma Qingting sighed and said helplessly. Qing Zhongfan was stunned. He didn't expect Xiao Chen's strength to be so high that even Ma Qingting couldn't do anything to him. This guy is a freak, right? Ma Qingting suddenly stood up and paced around the room. She couldn't get rid of her resentment. After walking around for a while, he suddenly stopped and fiercely asked, Qing Zhongfan, tell me, is there a way to make Xiao Chen be beaten up by me and unable to resist after that? Well. Qing Zhongfan pondered for a while, his eyes rolling, and suddenly thought of an idea. Sect master, I heard that our sect has a kind of medicinal pill that can easily destroy other people's cultivation. If you can get this pill and trick Xiao Chen into eating it, then wouldn't he be at your mercy? Yeah. Why didn't I think of that? You're more cunning than me. Ma Qingting slapped her thigh and was overjoyed. She immediately sat down, picked up a brush, and quickly wrote a note, handing it to Qing Zhongfan. Take this note and go to the sect's pharmacy immediately and bring me the medicinal pills. After this matter is done, this young master will definitely reward you handsomely. No problem, it's my honor to be able to run errands for young sect master. Qing Zhongfan didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Ma Qingting calling him cunning. He happily took the note and ran towards the pharmacy. Thinking that he could serve young sect master and torture that damn Xiao Chen, he was indescribably happy in his heart. Ma Qingting sat on the chair and shook his head leisurely. In his heart, he was thinking about how to trick Xiao Chen into taking the pill. But as he thought about it, his mind suddenly lit up. That's right. Why am I so stubborn? Why must I make Xiao Chen eat the pill? As long as I let Qing Menjing eat the pill, then wouldn't I be able to push her down? Ma Qingting remembered that Yao Baoang once told him that the Weaver Heart Sutra that Qing Menjing cultivated had a unique mental cultivation method that required a virgin's body to cultivate. Also, if she had intercourse with someone during the cultivation period, the demonic energy would flow backward and flow into the other party's body, causing the other party's body to explode. Therefore, although Yao Baoang didn't give up his evil intentions, he had no way to forcefully possess her. But now, as long as he abolished Qing Menjing's cultivation, then wouldn't she become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered? He could easily push her down. Ha ha ha. I can even think of such a wonderful method, looks like I'm really a genius. Ma Qingting seemed to have already seen the scene of him hugging Qing Menjing and stepping on Xiao Chen. He couldn't help but be complacent and laugh out loud. Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing chatted for a while, and in the blink of an eye, it was dinner time. Xiao Chen wanted to cook something delicious for Missy, but before he could start, a Kuei Mountain sect disciple came and told them that Ma Qingting had already prepared a banquet and invited them to the banquet. Qing Menjing didn't have a good impression of Ma Qingting and wanted to reject him directly, but Xiao Chen agreed without hesitation. Since this idiot was treating, it would be a waste not to eat. Moreover, he also wanted to ask him something, so after convincing Qing Menjing, the two followed the disciple to the dining hall. Swordsman Xiao Chen, I'm so sorry. I've been busy preparing for the subjugation assembly for the past 2 days, so I haven't been able to properly entertain you. Today, I finally managed to find some time, so I've specially prepared a banquet for you. Just treat it as a welcoming dinner for you. It's just a simple meal, I hope you don't mind. Seeing that the two of them had arrived, Ma Wuxie very enthusiastically extended his hand, wanting to shake Xiao Chen's hand. Oh, it's okay, I forgive you. Xiao Chen ignored Ma Qingting's hand and casually sat down on the main guest seat. Ma Qingting's mouth twitched, and he retracted his hand. He pretended to brush off the non-existent dust on his sleeves, and put on a smile as if he didn't mind at all. Xiao Chen glanced at the dishes on the table and said with dissatisfaction, I say, sect leader Ma, even if it's just a simple meal, there's no need to be so crude, right? What the hell is this table full of? Why isn't there even a lobster or abalone, and the meat is pitifully little? How is this the way a big sect treats people? Or do you think I'm easy to bully, so you just casually use the cafeteria's big pot of dishes to entertain me? Swordsman Xiao Chen, please don't say that. These dishes were specially prepared by our chefs. Although there are no expensive dishes, the taste is very delicious. Please have a good taste. Ma Baiju's face stiffened, but he forced a smile and said. As he explained, Ma Qingting cursed in his heart, damn Xiao Chen, it's fine that you don't respect me, but you actually dare to criticize the dishes that I specially prepared. Do you think the Quishan sect is stationed in the city? I rarely eat seafood, so where am I going to get you lobster and abalone in such a short time? As the Quishan sect was located in a remote mountainous area, transportation was extremely inconvenient, so there was no way to buy seafood. Moreover, because the sect's disciples cultivated for a long time, they rarely ate big fish and meat. Basically, they mainly ate light vegetarian food, and occasionally had some meat. Otherwise, when Yao Baoang and the others went to Songning City previously, they wouldn't be like country bumpkins, and find everything strange. Hee, Hero Xiao Chen, since the dishes aren't to your taste, then you should drink a few more cups. This wine is a good wine brewed by our Quishan sect, and you can't drink it anywhere else. Ma Qingting chimed in from the side, looking very friendly, as if he and Xiao Chen were good brothers who hadn't seen each other for many years. When she heard that her father wanted to invite Xiao Chen to a banquet, Ma Qingting had an idea in her heart, so she pestered him and followed him. Xiao Chen sat lazily in his seat, glanced at the empty cup in front of him, and didn't say a word. Seeing this, Ma Qingting specially stepped forward to fill Xiao Chen's cup with wine, then raised her own cup and said, "Come, Hero Xiao Chen, I've offended you before, and I've done something inappropriate. This cup of wine is my apology. I'll drink first as a sign of respect." After saying that, he drank the wine in the cup in one gulp, revealing the bottom of the cup. "Forget it, since you're apologizing so sincerely, then as a hero, I'm too lazy to bother with a little brat like you." Xiao Chen waved his hand casually, picked up the cup, and drank it in one gulp. However, as soon as the wine entered his stomach, Xiao Chen felt a burning sensation from his stomach to his brain. It seemed that the alcohol content of this wine wasn't low at all. Hero Xiao Chen is really forthright. Qingting admires you. Ma Qingting gave a thumbs up to Xiao Chen, then poured him another cup of wine, and said with a smile, "The cup just now was to express my apology. And this cup of wine is to welcome Hero Xiao Chen, so I'll drink first as a sign of respect." After saying that, he drank the wine with a slurp. Although the wine brewed by the Kuei Mountain sect was very smooth in the mouth, the after-effect was very strong. Ma Qingting had been drinking since he was a child and was already used to it, so there was nothing wrong with it. Moreover, it was normal for martial artists to drink together, so no one thought that Ma Qingting's action was strange. However, Xiao Chen saw that something was wrong. This Ma Qingting usually looked like a black-eyed chicken when he saw him, and now he kept urging him to drink. It was clear that he had bad intentions and wanted to get him drunk. But even so, Xiao Chen didn't expose him, nor did he stop drinking. Instead, he followed Ma Qingting's intention and poured cup after cup of wine into his mouth. On one hand, Xiao Chen wanted to see what tricks Ma Qingting was playing, so he let him serve him wine. On the other hand, Xiao Chen really wanted to ask something. If he didn't use the excuse of being drunk, it would be difficult to ask. He was just worried that he didn't have a reason to pretend to be drunk, and Ma Qingting delivered himself to his door. Of course, Xiao Chen wouldn't refuse such a good thing. The two toasted a few times, and before they knew it, they had already drunk more than a caddy of white wine. Xiao Chen's face was glowing red, and he and Ma Qingting began to put their arms around each other's shoulders, calling each other brother. The words that came out of their mouths were also running wild. Ma Qingting looked at Ma Qingting and Xiao Chen playing together and was a little puzzled. Did her son take the wrong medicine? Why did he keep forcing Xiao Chen to drink? She didn't even dare to urge Xiao Chen to drink, so what was wrong with this kid? Xiao Chen, drink less. Cheng Menjing frowned and said with a displeased face, "Look at you, you don't look like a human after drinking. If you fall on the ground drunk later, I won't have the strength to carry you back to your room." Chapter 859. Missy was also quite puzzled. She remembered that Xiao Chen didn't usually drink. Why was he downing one cup after another today without end? That Ma Dragonfly was obviously up to no good. Could he not see it? It's fine, it's fine. If Hero Xiaochen is drunk, I'll just get the servants to help him back later. How can I trouble you to do it? This isn't how we treat our guests. Ma Dragonfly said with a smile, but in his heart, he was thinking, when Xiaochen drinks until he faints, I'll directly take care of you, you little hussy. At that time, let's see who can save you. So this was Ma Dragonfly's intention in making Xiaochen drink. After getting Xiaochen drunk, Qing Menjing would be at his mercy. Burp. Xiaochen heavily patted Ma Dragonfly's shoulder a few times and sprayed a breath of alcohol on his face. He said with a slurred tongue, Little Dragonfly. You're really considerate. Not only did you take good care of my fiancée, you even provided her with heavenly materials and earthly treasures, allowing her to cultivate Niece's Heart Sutra. I don't even know how to thank you. Hiss. Ma Dragonfly almost suffered an internal injury from the pat and grimaced in pain. At first, he was still wondering who Xiaochen's fiancée was. Later, he realized that he was referring to Qing Menjing. He could only smile and say, Of course. Hero Xiaochen's fiancée, that's my sister-in-law. How can I not take good care of her? Sigh. Xiaochen suddenly sighed, his expression a little heavy. He put down the wine cup as if he didn't intend to drink anymore, but he was cursing in his heart, You brat, take good care of my ass. I think you want to take care of her to bed, right? Seeing this, Ma Dragonfly was very nervous. He couldn't give up halfway. He hurriedly asked, What's wrong, Hero Xiaochen? Is there something bothering you? Come, don't worry, let's get drunk and forget all our worries. Xiaochen shook his head and said sadly, Back then, my father disappeared with the trial team and even implicated the Qing family. Grandpa Qing flew into a rage and went to the Xiao family to punish me. That's why I was chased out of the family. If it wasn't for eldest miss taking me in at that time, I would have been tricked to death. Ma Baozha and Ma Qingting looked at each other in surprise. They were a little puzzled. Didn't they have a good chat before? Why did Xiaochen suddenly bring this up? Qing Menjing was also a little puzzled, but when she thought of the happy days when they lived in the villa, she was a little touched. She looked at Xiaochen with a much gentler gaze. Before the three of them could react, Xiaochen immediately changed the topic and asked, Oh right, I say, little dragonfly. Your Kuei Mountain sect is the #1 demonic sect in the martial arts world outside of the system. I'm sure you're awesome in all aspects, right? You must have a well-informed channel, right? Have you heard of the whereabouts of my father, Xiaofeng? This. Ma Qingting was stunned. She didn't expect Xiaochen to ask such a question. She was speechless and didn't know how to answer for a moment. Ma Wuzhu was taken aback as well. He gave Ma Dragonfly a look, signaling him not to speak nonsense. Then, with a pained expression, he continued, Hero Xiaochen, you've overpraised us. Don't be fooled by the fact that our Kuei Mountain sect is big and powerful, but we only have a little influence in the outer martial world. As for the matters of the mortal world, we don't know much. No way. It's understandable if little Dragonfly doesn't know the inside story, but it doesn't make sense that you don't even know about Sect Master Ma. Xiaochen slammed the table so hard that he almost knocked over the dishes on the table. He looked very displeased. Ma Baozha was shocked and said with a bitter face, Hero Xiaochen, we really don't know, Your Excellency. Xiaochen glared at him. Seeing Ma Baozha nodding, he roared fiercely, Stop pretending. I heard that it was your Kuei Mountain sect who did it. That's impossible. Ma Baozha was really shocked this time. He denied flatly, It's definitely not our Kuei Mountain sect. Xiaochen sneered a few times and turned his head drunkenly towards Qing Menjing and said, Miss, let's go back. The people of the Kuei Mountain sect are not honest. I guess they're holding that damned crusade just to trick me. Let's not stay here anymore. Qing Menjing was already a little impatient. She agreed immediately, Yes. I don't think there's anything good in this place. Let's go. Let's go back to Songning. It'll be more relaxing. She got up to help Xiao Qin. Hero Xiao Qin, please wait. Ma Baozhou was shocked. If he let Xiao Qin go, how could he have fun? He quickly stopped Xing Menjing and came to Xiao Chen's side, wanting to propose a toast to make amends. Xiao Chen glanced at him from the corner of his drunken eyes and said discontentedly, I haven't even stood up, and you're already sending me off. This wine is boring. My heart feels cold when I think about my father's whereabouts and whether he's dead or alive. This is really not something the Kuei Mountain sect would do. Hero Xiao Qin, we can't force a confession out of him, can we? Ma Baozhou was on the verge of tears as he tried to explain. Don't talk nonsense. I have a strong witness. I'll never wrong you. Xiao Qin stood up shakily and said with a face full of dissatisfaction, forget it. Since you guys are so insincere, there's no need for me to play with you guys anymore. Let's go, eldest miss, let's go back. Ma Baozhou was so anxious that he was almost sweating. He pulled Xiao Qin and said solemnly, Hero Xiao Qin, I swear, this is definitely not the Kuei Mountain sect's doing. Who's your strong witness? Ask him to come out, and we can confront each other. What are you talking about? Isn't Qing Zhongfan one of your people? Could it be that he's lying? Xiao Qin waved his hand and retorted subconsciously. Qing Zhongfan? Damn it, he doesn't even know the situation. What nonsense is he spouting? Ma Baozhou's vision darkened. He was so angry that he glared at Ma Yanting. Look at that damn thing you've brought. Don't fool me. Don't tell me, he tricked his own sect. Xiao Qin shouted drunkenly. He waved his hand around and almost hit Ma Baozhou. Ma Baozhou really had no choice but to say, Hero Xiao Qin, I swear with my life that it's definitely not the Kuei Mountain sect's doing. As for where your father went, actually, I've only heard some rumors. I haven't confirmed it. I heard that the disciples of Awakening sect seem to have met your father before. As for where he went, I really don't know. Oh. That Awakening sect of the inner martial arts world? Xiao Qin still looked drunk on the surface, but in his heart, he was full of regret. Damn it. What a blunder. Isn't that Xing Chick a disciple of Awakening sect? If I knew earlier that her sect was behind this, I should have found a way to find out about my father's whereabouts when she was injured. If she dared not say it, I'll just rip off her clothes. Let's see if she still won't admit it. In fact, Xiao Qin had already refined all the white wine in his stomach with his vital qi. However, he pretended to talk nonsense so that he could find out about his father's whereabouts. He had already thought about it. He would first talk nonsense for a while to pave the way. Later, even if they had a falling out, he could say that he was drunk and push all the blame away. Now that he had tested him, Xiao Qin could see that Ma Baozhou wasn't lying. What he knew was limited. Otherwise, if he really turned around and left, he would obviously lose more than he gained. Hero Xiao Qin, are you alright? Did you drink too much and feel unwell? Why don't I ask the servants to help you back to your room to rest? Ma Baozhou saw that Xiao Qin sat back down and seemed to have calmed down a little, so he asked carefully. He hated his son to death. Why did he have to drink Xiao Chen's wine for no reason? Now that he was drunk and acting crazy, not only could he not say anything, but he also had to put on a smiling face and accompany him. It was so King frustrating. I'm not drunk. Xiao Qin waved his hand in a drunken manner. Since he couldn't get the information he wanted, he felt that there was no need to stay any longer. However, if he left just like that, the purpose of pretending to be drunk would be too obvious. In order not to arouse Ma Baozhou's suspicion, Xiao Qin picked up his wine cup again and turned to Ma Dragonfly, saying, Come, little dragonfly, fill this hero's cup. This hero is in a good mood tonight, drink a few more cups with me. You must drink to your heart's content. Okay. Ma Dragonfly was also confused by Xiao Chen's actions, but he didn't dare to have any temper. He could only fill Xiao Chen's cup with wine, then he picked up the cup again and drank with him. Burp. I say, the names of you father and son are quite interesting. Xiao Chen shook his head as he drank the wine. He picked up his chopsticks and pointed at Ma Baozha, saying, one is a crawling centipede, the other is a flying centipede. That's not right. Little dragonfly, why can't you fly? Looking at Xiao Chen's astonished face, Ma Dragonfly couldn't keep up with his train of thought. After a long time, he squeezed out an ah. Xiao Chen swung his legs and pointed at Ma Dragonfly with his chopsticks, saying, look at your old man, how happy he is crawling on the ground. Hurry up and fly to broaden this hero's horizons. I don't know how to fly. Ma Dragonfly was completely stunned. He didn't think that after Xiao Chen drank too much, he would even joke about his name. He could only use his eyes to ask for help from his father. Ma Baozha had just walked back to his seat and was about to explode when he heard Xiao Chen's words. Why am I crawling on the ground? He almost couldn't tell if Xiao Chen was really drunk, or if he was using the drunkenness to mock him. The furious Ma Baozha directly ignored Ma Dragonfly's pleading look and pretended not to see it. Motherf asterisk cur, I can't do anything about this stupid Xiao Chen. You brat, you caused this trouble yourself, so take responsibility for it. Chapter 860. TSK, you're too cowardly. You don't even know how to fly. Today, let this hero teach you a lesson. Let's show you off and fly. Xiao Chen shook his head, put down the wine glass in his hand, and slapped Ma Dragonfly's face. Paw! A crisp sound was heard. Ma Dragonfly wailed miserably and was sent flying into the sky. Oh, Missy, look! That little dragonfly is flying quite high. Did he go up to the sky to shoot a plane? Xiao Chen squinted his eyes and pointed in the direction where Ma Dragonfly flew and said in surprise. Pfft! Qing Menjing almost couldn't hold back her laughter. But when she heard Xiao Chen say that he shot a plane, she blushed and glared at him. This Xiao Chen is really too much. He never forgets to act like a hooligan no matter what. Ma Dragonfly was speechless. He was so angry that he lost his temper. Not only could he not flare up, but he also scolded in his heart. Who asked you to force Xiao Chen to drink? Now, not only did you let him use the influence of alcohol to ask all sorts of questions without restraint, but you also went up to the sky all day long. Most importantly, I can't even stand up for you. This is so depressing. Pa! Ah! Another muffled sound was heard, followed by Ma Dragonfly's scream. He finally fell from the sky. He was dizzy and his face was covered in blood. He lay on the ground for a long time and couldn't get up. Oh, you can still make two sounds. So you're also a double kick. Xiao Chen stood up unsteadily and grabbed Qing Menjing's hand. Missy, we've drunk the wine and set off the firecrackers. Shouldn't we go back and have a beauty sleep? Oh, then let's go. Qing Menjing agreed casually and then glared at Xiao Chen, motioning him to let go of her hand. But Xiao Chen didn't respond at all, as if he was really drunk. Qing Menjing had no choice. She was also afraid that if she left Xiao Chen behind, he would really be drunk. She couldn't do it without someone to help her. She could only let Xiao Chen hold her hand and leave the dining room. Looking at the disappearing figures of the two, Ma Minzhu gnashed his teeth with hatred, but there was nothing he could do. He could only ask someone to carry his son to recuperate first, and the banquet ended hastily just like that. After stumbling back to the Qing family's courtyard, Xiao Chen immediately released his divine sense and scanned around to make sure that no one was watching him. Then he let out a long breath, stretched, and restored his original appearance. Xiao Chen? Are you okay? Qing Menjing was stunned. Just now, Xiao Chen was holding her hand and swaying as he walked. Why did he look much sober now? I'm okay. I was playing with those two fools. Otherwise, how could I find out the whereabouts of my father? Xiao Chen shrugged and said in a clear tone. He didn't continue to speak with a lisp. Ah. So you were pretending? I thought you were really drunk. You're too good at pretending. Cheng Menjing was a little surprised. She couldn't help but think of the conversation between Xiao Chen and Ma Dragonfly before. Then she realized that he was indeed trying to get information from the other party. Missy was a little emotional. Xiao Chen was really a person who valued friendship and righteousness. Although he usually didn't talk about his father, he would try his best to find out when there was a chance. How can I deceive them if I don't look like it? Xiao Chen scratched his head and said apologetically, I'm sorry. In order to pretend, I held your hand without your consent. You won't be angry, right? Humph. Forget it. Seeing that you're trying to find out news about Uncle Xiao, I'll reluctantly forgive you this time. Besides, I'm your fiancé. It's normal for me to hold your hand. Cheng Menjing saw that Xiao Chen was sincere in admitting his mistake. She snorted with satisfaction. But to be honest, Missy felt that it felt good when she was held by Xiao Chen's big hand. Hee hee. Since you've said so, then I'll find a chance to hold your hand a few more times in the future. Xiao Chen grinned and walked towards the direction of the room. You wish. I'm in a good mood, so I let you go. You even gave me some sunshine and I'm shining. Cheng Menjing glared at him and said with a pout. At this time, Xiao Chen had already sent Cheng Menjing to the door of her room. He didn't stay and said with a smile, all right, Missy. It's already very late. You should go back and have a beauty sleep. I should also go back to my room to take a bath. I've drunk so much wine, and the smell on my body is too strong. After that, Xiao Chen waved his hand and walked to his room without looking back. Cheng Menjing opened her mouth and wanted to say something. In the end, she didn't say anything for a long time. She stomped her feet angrily and pushed the door open. As she walked, she muttered hatefully, damn Xiao Chen, stinky Xiao Chen. After using this Missy, he ran away faster than a monkey. He didn't even chat with me for a while. I'm so angry. After Ma Qingting was sent back, he quickly woke up. The wounds on his body were basically some superficial wounds. Although they looked serious, he quickly recovered under the doctor's treatment. But although his wounds were healed, Ma Qingting was still scolded by Ma Qingting for a full hour. Ma Qingting was scolded until his face was covered in dirt, and he didn't dare to talk back. After Ma Qingting left, Ma Qingting's face turned from green to white, and he roared fiercely, damn it. Help me call Cheng Zhongfan over. He couldn't wait any longer. Tonight, he must take down Cheng Menjing. Although he was teased by Xiao Chen for so long and even slapped, at least his goal was achieved. Xiao Chen was already drunk and would definitely fall asleep when he got back. He wouldn't be able to care about Cheng Menjing. Thinking that she would be able to push down her goddess tonight, Ma Dragonfly's heart was burning with passion. She finished preparing everything and waited for Cheng Zhongfan to arrive. After planning for a while, she saw the moon in the middle of the sky and stealthily made her way to Cheng family's side courtyard. After Cheng Tianxiu and Cheng Zhongming left, only Cheng Menjing and Xiao Chen were left in the Cheng family's side courtyard. They lived in different rooms. It was already late at night, and the whole side courtyard was quiet. There was no sound at all. The two looked at each other and began to prepare according to the previous arrangement. Ma Qingting went directly to the door of Cheng Menjing's room, while Cheng Zhongfan stood guard nearby to prevent anyone, especially Xiao Chen, from disturbing them. Although Xiao Chen looked drunk, it was better to have a double insurance. Ma Qingting looked around, and after confirming that there was no one else, he quietly put some sleeping gas in Cheng Menjing's room. Then, he stood outside the door and waited patiently for a while. When he estimated that the sleeping gas in the room had almost dispersed, he gently pushed the door open and walked in. Menjing. Cheng Menjing. Ma Qingting tiptoed to the bed and looked under the moonlight. He found that it was indeed the sleeping Cheng Menjing, so he whispered a few words. Cheng Menjing's eyes were tightly shut, as if she didn't hear anything. Ma Qingting gently pushed her twice, and found that she wasn't moving. After confirming that she was unconscious, he took out a small porcelain bottle from his pocket, pulled out the stopper, and poured out a black pill. While putting the pill to Qing Menjing's mouth, Ma Qingting excitedly murmured, "Hee hee, little hussy, you dare to pretend to be pure in front of me, but you pretend again, huh? Who's there?" Before he could put the pill into Qing Menjing's mouth, Ma Qingting suddenly felt his shoulder being patted by someone. He was startled and quickly turned his head. But when he turned his head, Ma Qingting found that other than some furniture, there was no other person. He looked around, and there was still nothing. While he was puzzled, Ma Qingting felt a chill in his heart. But before he could react, a cold voice suddenly came from behind him. "Ma Qingting, you little brat, are you capable now? You actually dare to use such despicable means to deal with my fiancé?" A gloomy and horrifying voice said. "Fiancé?" When Ma Qingting heard the word fiancé, he thought that Yao Boang's corpse had come back to life. He was so scared that his scalp went numb, and his legs went weak. He gathered his courage and turned around, but he saw Xiaochen sitting on the edge of the bed. "I wanted to keep you alive for a few more days, but now it seems like there's no need." Xiaochen sat there with his legs crossed, staring at Ma Qingting expressionlessly. "Xiaochen? You're not drunk?" Ma Qingting saw that it wasn't Yao Boang's corpse that came back to his senses. He couldn't help but wonder, that's not right. "Why are you here? Did that brat, Qing Zhongfan, slip away?" Actually, Ma Qingting didn't know that although Xiaochen had been cultivating since he returned to his room, and his room was a little far from Qing Menjing's room, he didn't let his guard down. He released his divine sense to monitor the movement in Qing Menjing's room at all times, just in case something went wrong. When he sensed that someone had sneaked into the room, he immediately rushed over on his flying sword. The flying sword, which was made of meteoric iron, was so fast that it was almost like a shadow, so Qing Zhongfan did not notice him at all. "You don't have to worry about this. If you have the time, you might as well think about your last words first." Xiaochen stood up, channeled his mental cultivation, and revealed his Demon King Level 2 cultivation. He slowly walked toward Ma Qingting with a murderous aura bursting from his body. "You don't mess around. Otherwise, my father definitely won't spare you. At that time, you, the Xiao family, and the Qing family will all die without a burial place." Feeling the enormous pressure and murderous aura released by Xiaochen, Ma Qingting broke out in a cold sweat. She kept retreating as she bluffed and threatened. "You're done, right? Then you can go and die." Xiaochen sneered, and the demonic qi on his body suddenly skyrocketed. He raised his hand and slapped at Ma Qingting's chest fiercely, dark flame palm. "Ah!" Ma Qingting didn't think that Xiaochen actually dared to make a move. Caught off guard, she took a solid hit and flew out with a miserable howl. Chapter 861. All the ribs in his body were shattered by the wind from the dark flame palm, and the fragments of those ribs directly stabbed into his 5 viscera and 6 bowels. Ma Dragonfly fell heavily to the ground with a thud. After struggling for a while, he finally breathed his last breath with his eyes wide open. Not far away, Qing Zhongfan, who was keeping a lookout, jumped in fright. He looked at Ma Dragonfly, who was bleeding from all 7 orifices, and then looked up at Xiaochen, who was walking out of the room. He stood there in a daze for a while, and his body trembled. He seemed to understand what he was here for. He did not know where he got the strength from, but he quickly picked up Ma Dragonfly's corpse and ran out without looking back. Xiaochen originally wanted to chase, but after walking 2 steps, he hesitated and turned back. He did not know what drug Ma Dragonfly had drugged Qing Menjing. If it was harmful to her body, it would not be good if it acted up. "Young miss, are you okay?" Xiaochen came to Qing Menjing's bedside and gently pushed her, but she did not wake up. She was still lying on the bed with her eyes closed, in a deep sleep. Without a choice, Xiaochen could only hold Qing Menjing's hand and infuse some yuan qi to check her body. After dispersing the remaining smoke in her body, Qing Menjing slowly woke up. Xiaochen, what happened? Why are you in my room?" Qing Menjing felt her head was very heavy, and her mind was in a daze like a ball of paste. She opened her eyes and saw Xiaoqun sitting beside her, so she asked weakly. "Oh, that. Just now, when you were sleeping, Ma Qingting drugged you with a sleeping gas. She wanted to rape me. What did you do?" Xiaoqun checked and let go of her hand after confirming that there was nothing wrong with her body. "What?" Cheng Menjing jumped in fright and immediately sobered up. She immediately sat up and carefully checked her pajamas. She only relaxed when she found they were intact. "It's okay, I stopped him before he succeeded." Seeing Cheng Menjing's flustered appearance, Xiaoqun quickly comforted her. Cheng Menjing let out a sigh of relief and then scolded angrily, "That Ma Dragonfly is too despicable. He actually used such a despicable method to deal with me. Xiaoqun, quickly teach him a lesson for me." Apart from feeling disgusted, Cheng Menjing also felt a lingering fear for no reason. Fortunately, Xiaoqun was by her side this time, protecting her at all times. Otherwise, it was very likely that Ma Qingting would have succeeded. If that really happened, she would not have the face to continue living in the future. Xiaoqun rubbed his nose and said innocently, I don't think I can teach him a lesson." "Ma Dragonfly, wow, Xiaoqun, you actually dare to not listen to me. Believe it or not, I will clear out your villa." Cheng Menjing glared at Xiaoqun and shouted, completely forgetting that Xiaoqun was no longer her servant. "That's not it. Actually, I already killed him just now, so even if you want me to teach him a lesson, I have no target." Xiaoqun shrugged and explained simply. "Ah!" Cheng Menjing exclaimed, and her anger turned to worry. She looked at Xiaoqun and said, "Why did you kill again? He dared to have improper thoughts towards you, so I killed him directly. It was already letting him off easy." Xiaoqun snorted coldly. Then, he thought of something. "Oh, that's right. Cheng Zhongfan was outside earlier as well. It looks like he was keeping watch nearby. However, in order to see if you were fine, I didn't kill him as well." However, although he downplayed it, Xiaoqun had a faint feeling of uneasiness in his heart. It seemed that he shouldn't have let Cheng Zhongfan go so easily, and he didn't know why. Humph. Cheng Zhongfan. He was the one who should have been beaten to death. He used to think of ways to frame you, and he even betrayed the Cheng family. This kind of scum should have died long ago. Cheng Menjing clenched her small fist angrily and waved it in the air. She was obviously very dissatisfied. Xiaoqun smiled noncommittally. If it were his temper in the past, he might have long killed Cheng Zhongfan. But now, Xiaoqun felt that he was no different from a dead person. As long as he didn't do something too overboard and didn't touch his bottom line, he would let Cheng Zhongfan live an ignoble existence for the time being. Either way, his backer had already fallen. Even if he lived, it was also a fate worse than death. Cheng Zhongfan sprinted madly all the way with Ma Qingfei's corpse on his back. Rushing to Ma Baijia's room, he banged heavily on the door a few times, and shouted in a hoarse voice, "Sect Master Ma, things are bad. Young Sect Master was killed by Xiaoqun. Who's making a big fuss?" "What did you say?" Ma Baizha was currently cultivating in the room. Hearing someone knocking on the door, he was displeased in his heart and was just about to berate when he suddenly heard such a sentence. Anger immediately rushed to his head, and he almost went berserk. Forcefully suppressing the churning demonic qi in his body, Ma Baizha rushed out in a hurry. Just as he stepped out of the door, the first thing he saw was Ma Qingfei lying on the ground covered in blood, motionless with a face full of death. Ma Baizha turned pale with fright and directly pounced forward, shaking his son's corpse with a face full of inexplicable grief. Seeing this, Cheng Zhongfan didn't dare to make a sound. He stood blankly at the side like a wooden stake, a myriad of thoughts tumbling endlessly in his head. Usually, relying on Ma Qingfei's backing, he had always been bossy in the Quishan sect, and even offended a lot of people because of this. Now that his backer was gone just like that, would there be a lot of people anxiously waiting to settle the score with him? Sigh, if I had known earlier, would have just run away. Why did I have to go through the trouble of bringing Ma Qingfei's corpse over? Looking at the sect master's sorrowful look, if he became muddle-headed in anger and wanted to kill me to accompany his son in death, wouldn't I die a wrongful death? Tell me clearly. What exactly happened? Why did Xiao Chen lay his hands on Ma Qingfei? As Qing Zhongfan's imagination ran wild, Ma Baizhi suddenly grabbed his collar and roared furiously. Ma Baizhi simply hated Qing Zhongfan to the core. Previously, it was because of his nonsense that he was forced to reveal the news of Qi Tian's sect to Xiao Chen. Now, he even brought the grievous news of his son's tragic death. If he didn't need him to explain the situation, Ma Baizhi would have killed him with a slap. Qing Zhongfan was sweating profusely and hurriedly answered, Reporting to sect master, it was young sect master who wanted to look for Qing Menjing at night, to chat. In the end, that Xiao Chen went crazy for some reason and directly rushed in and killed young sect master. I was quite far away at that time. When I wanted to rush over, it was already too late. Naturally, Qing Zhongfan dared not tell the truth. After all, in the eyes of martial artists, using knockout smoke and poison were some despicable tricks. As the dignified young sect master of Kuei Mountain sect, wouldn't he be ridiculed by others if he relied on these things to seize a girl's chastity? Qing Zhongfan was not stupid. Of course, he would not leave such an excuse for others to gossip about him. Wah-ya-ya-ya-ya. Ma Baizhi swung his hand fiercely and threw Qing Zhongfan aside. He was flustered and exasperated as he roared with bloodshot eyes, Xiao Chen. I'm going to tear you into pieces. Ma Baizhi was already mad at this time. He no longer cared about the orders from his superiors and directly flew towards the Qing family's courtyard at the fastest speed possible. Recently, he had already suffered a lot of resentment from Xiao Chen. But for the Order of Awakening Heavenly Sect, he thought that it would be fine if he just tolerated it. In the end, he did not expect that even his son's life would be lost in Xiao Chen's hands. Originally, Ma Baizhi only planned to play some tricks in the crusade meeting to embarrass Xiao Chen so that he could vent his anger. But now, he decided to kill him directly. Only then could he appease the pain of losing his son and the hatred in his heart. Xiao Chen. Get out here. In just a few breaths, Ma Baizhi was already standing in the Qing family's courtyard. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared towards the room in front of him. Xiao Chen yawned and walked out of the room sleepily. He picked his ears and said impatiently, Ma Baizhi, did you take the wrong medicine? Why are you shouting in the courtyard in the middle of the night? Even if you can't disturb me, it's not good to disturb the flower, the campus belle. After a while, Qing Menjing also came out. She first bowed to Ma Baizhi and then explained, Sect leader Ma, you can't blame Xiao Chen for Ma Longting's death. He wanted to molest me first. Xiao Chen just blocked it for me. Although Qing Menjing knew that Xiao Chen's strength was higher than Ma Baizhi's, they were still in the territory of the Kuei Mountain sect after all. They could not be too arrogant. I don't care. Anyway, Xiao Chen killed my son, so I want him to pay with his life. Ma Baizhi's eyes were bloodshot at this time. He could not listen to any reason. He waved his hand and directly circulated the devil qi in his body, and suddenly attacked Xiao Chen's chest. Go to hell, Xiao Chen. I say, you really overestimate yourself. You only have the cultivation of half-step devil king, and you dare to challenge me? Xiao Chen sneered and displayed the strength of the peak of devil king level 2. When he was about to attack, he suddenly heard Elder Heaven Ancestor yelling in his mind, Xiao Chen. Get out of the way. You are no match for him. Xiao Chen was stunned. Suddenly, he felt an overwhelming pressure surging towards him. He looked up in disbelief and suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Ma Baizhi was actually in the peak of Devil King level 10. In the blink of an eye, Ma Baizhi was already in front of him. Xiao Chen subconsciously wanted to dodge, but he stopped in his tracks. Missy was standing behind him. If he dodged, she would be the one to be attacked. She only had the strength of a devil master. If she faced Ma Baizhi, she would most likely die. With that thought in mind, Xiao Chen circulated all of his strength and braced himself to take a step forward. He also launched a palm strike at Ma Wuxia. Bang! A loud noise was heard. Their palms collided fiercely. Xiao Chen was pushed back a few steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, and he was obviously seriously injured. Ma Baijia's body only swayed a little, but his expression was normal. Ha ha ha. Ignorant child, you are only at the peak of Devil King level 2. How dare you challenge me in front of me? Ma Baizha was a little puzzled. He attacked with all his strength. Logically speaking, Xiao Chen should have died directly. How could he not die? Chapter 862. However, he couldn't care less. Once again, he exerted all his strength and pushed his palm forward. Brat, be buried with my son. This day next year will be the day of your death. Cough, cough. Old man, say that after you hurt me. Xiao Chen didn't continue the fight. Instead, he quickly retreated and took out his flying sword. He grabbed Xing Menjing's hand and jumped on it. Then, he escaped from the Kuei Mountain sect and sped towards Songning City. What? Ma Minky watched as his palm strike missed. He was rather surprised. Xiao Chen actually had such an arcane treasure. Humph. Ma Wuzha snorted coldly and stared at Xiao Chen's rapidly disappearing silhouette. He roared into the sky, Xiao Chen. No matter where you run to, I'll kill you and avenge my son. Before he finished speaking, he quickly chased in the direction that Xiao Chen had left in. However, although Ma Wuzha was a Demon King level 10 perfection cultivator, he couldn't run as fast as the flying sword. After chasing for a while, he realized that the distance between him and Xiao Chen was getting further and further. So, he stopped and returned to the Kuei Mountain sect angrily. Since he couldn't catch up, Ma Wuzha changed his method. Once he returned to the sect, he immediately issued a boundless kill order and sent out all the disciples. He ordered them to search in the direction where Xiao Chen escaped and to report back immediately if they found any clues. Meanwhile, Ma Wuzha stayed in the sect, waiting for news at any time. He also started to organize Ma Longting's funeral. Since Xiao Chen and the Kuei Mountain sect had officially broken off, and Ma Wuzha issued a kill order, the subjugation meeting naturally came to an end. The news soon reached Awakening sect. What surprised Ma Wuzha was that Awakening sect didn't reprimand him severely. Instead, they just watched quietly, as if they didn't know about it at all. Ma Wuxia thought about it and concluded that the higher-ups must have felt sorry for him after learning about his situation. That was why they allowed him to avenge their son. In reality, Situ Qitian didn't care about the dragonflies or butterflies. He just wanted to watch the show. He wanted to know if the people behind Xiao Chen would jump out to help if he was being chased by the great perfection of the Demon King level 10. After that, Situ Qitian quickly called for a sect meeting. He was worried that if something like this happened, the other sects in the martial arts world would use Ma Daobao's strength as an excuse to pick a fight with Awakening Heaven sect. Therefore, he had to immediately discuss the countermeasures for the future. During the meeting, Situ Qitian first vented his anger and reprimanded Ma Wuxia for not caring about the big picture and for being a fool. Even if he wanted to take revenge for his son, he should have done it slowly instead of revealing his strength so easily, which caused the pressure on Awakening Heaven sect and the martial arts world to increase greatly. After all, Ma Wuxia was a chess piece that Awakening Heaven sect had set up in the martial arts world. Situ Qitian let him enter the Quishan sect and become the sect master in order to better control the martial arts world and provide Awakening Heaven sect with a steady stream of funds and outstanding disciples so that Awakening Heaven sect could develop more steadily. Now that Ma Wuxia had accidentally revealed his strength, he wouldn't be able to stay in the martial arts world for too long. According to the rules, Situ Qitian had to summon him back to Awakening Heaven sect sooner or later. Otherwise, the other sects in the martial arts world would definitely not let it go. Originally, Ma Wuxia should have returned to the martial arts world immediately, but Situ Qitian still wanted to see the situation after Xiao Chen was chased. Moreover, Ma Wuxia definitely wouldn't be willing to let go of the hatred of his son and come back. Therefore, after the discussion in the sect meeting, Situ Qitian conveyed the latest order to Ma Wuxia, let him be more careful when doing things and don't leave any clues for other sects to find out. Only then could he be tormented for a while. He also promised Ma Wuxia that he would summon him back after everything was settled. After everything was settled, Situ Qitian found Elder Sun and secretly assigned him a task. Little Xing, how's your recovery? The sect master has a new mission for you. Elder Sun received Situ Qitian's order and immediately called Little Chick Xing. Elder Sun, my strength has basically recovered. Little Xing said calmly on the other end of the phone. Your task this time is to go to the Quishan sect and secretly monitor Ma Wuxia's every move. See how he will deal with Xiao Qin. If he is about to make a move on Xiao Qin, you will help him secretly, understand? Elder Sun instructed solemnly. I remember that Ma Wuxia should be at the Demon King level 10 great perfection, right? His strength should be more than enough to deal with Xiao Qin. There's no need for me to help, right? Little Xing was very puzzled. She thought to herself, could it be that Xiao Qian's strength has increased again? Even Ma Wuxia is helpless against him? Then even if I go, I won't be of much help. It seems like you don't understand. The purpose of this task is for you to protect Xiao Qin. You can't let Ma Wuxia kill him. If necessary, you'd better help him. Otherwise, if Xiao Qin really dies, how are we going to lure those people out? Elder Sun said with a tone of reproach. Oh. I see. I understand. I'll go now. Little Xing finally understood and quickly agreed. However, she was a little depressed. Not only could she not teach this lecher a lesson, she also had to protect him. Really? At this moment, Xiao Qin and Qing Menjing were still standing on the fast-flying sword. Xiao Qin, where are we going? Qing Menjing helped Xiao Qin stand on the flying sword. Her voice was a little shaky. She wasn't frightened by the horse's zigzagging, but she doubted whether the narrow sword body could bear the weight of two people. She felt shaky and unsteady as she flew. She looked down and saw the scenery moving at high speed, which made her a little nervous. Cough, cough, cough. Xiao Qin covered his mouth with his left hand and coughed a few times. His right hand grabbed Qing Menjing's arm tightly. He said in a deep voice, Missy, let's go back to the villa by the Lidhua River first. It should be safe there. Looking down at his left palm, Xiao Qin saw a patch of red. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. It seemed that he was seriously injured this time. He didn't expect Ma Wuxia to hide his strength. If he knew that Ma Wuxia was at the peak of the Demon King level 10, he would have taken Missy and run away. Are your injuries serious? Why don't we go down first? I feel that the flying sword can't hold on any longer. Qing Menjing could feel that Xiao Qin was very weak. She couldn't help but say worriedly. The flying sword under her feet seemed to be getting slower and slower. It seemed like it was going to stop soon. I'm fine. Don't worry. We'll be there soon. Xiao Qin tried to comfort her. He also felt that the energy in his body was weakening. He had to shout in the spiritual space again, Elder Heaven Ancestor, are you there? I can't hold on any longer. Can you help me control the flying sword for a while? When he escaped from the Kuei Mountain sect, Xiao Qin knew that his injuries were more serious. He wanted to ask Elder Heaven Ancestor to come out and help him control the flying sword. However, he didn't know why there was no response even after he called him several times. Now, he could only try to call him again without holding out any hope. Moss. Master. A weak voice suddenly came from the spiritual space. I'm Nethery. Just now, Senior Heaven Ancestor and I, an old demon fire wolf joined hands, to help you block a palm strike. It consumed a lot of divine sense and mental force. They have already entered a dormant state. It turned out that the reason why Xiao Qin didn't die from Madeki's full-force palm strike was because Elder Heaven Ancestor, Old Demon Fire Wolf, and Flame of the Underworld had helped him block most of the attack. Since Elder Heaven Ancestor and Old Demon Fire Wolf were more proficient in defense, they shared most of the damage. After the attack, they directly entered a dormant state. Flame of the Underworld, on the other hand, wasn't good at absorbing damage, so it barely had some mental force left. What? How are they? Are they okay? Xiao Chen's body swayed. He was very shocked. No wonder Elder Heaven Ancestor didn't reply. It turned out that he had already entered a dormant state. No. They're fine. They're just tired. After resting for a while, they'll be fine, Flame of the Underworld answered with great difficulty. After pondering for a while, Xiao Chen said helplessly, well, it seems that I have to stop using the flying sword. Otherwise, with my current primordial qi, I can't fly to the villa at all. If I accidentally fall from the sky again, it'll be really troublesome. Master, you don't have to stop. I can use mental force to send you back, but I'll also exhaust my mental force and enter a dormant state. At that time, you can only rely on yourself. Flame of the Underworld's voice became lower and lower, and finally, there was no sound. Xiao Chen was shocked. He was about to open his mouth to stop it, but the flying sword under his feet suddenly trembled, as if it had regained its vitality. It sped up and flew in the direction of Song Ning Villa. An hour later, the flying sword successfully stopped at Song Ning's villa. Xiao Chen put away the flying sword and dragged his exhausted steps as he opened the door and walked in. Qing Menjing looked around the periphery of the villa, and then followed behind Xiao Chen. Thinking back to the good time they had spent in the villa, the young miss could not help but feel emotional. She didn't expect that after so many days, she and Xiao Chen would be the first to return here. Ah! Xiao Chen, something went behind the sofa. As soon as she stepped into the hall, Qing Menjing saw a black shadow flashing not far away at a very fast speed. She was shocked and exclaimed. No way. Are you sure you're not mistaken? No one has lived in the villa for so long. Even if there are mice, they should have starved to death. Xiao Chen said disapprovingly. He was about to reach out to turn on the light, but he suddenly felt something approaching the position where he was standing at a very fast speed. Woof! Just as Xiao Chen's hand turned on the light, that thing let out a loud roar and pounced on him. Then, it froze for a moment before suddenly wagging its tail. Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing took a closer look. The thing was a big black dog. Chapter 863. This is the universe's super invincible dog. Why is it still living in the villa? And it looks so healthy, could it be that there are kind-hearted people feeding it? Qing Menjing asked, puzzled. She and Xiao Chen had been gone for so long, and that Yi Xiaoye had long returned to the Devil Star sect, so how did this dog survive? I forgot to tell you, Invincible Dog is really invincible now. Don't be fooled by its small size, it's actually a level 1 Devil Master. Damn! It actually rose to the peak of level 10 Devil Master. Xiao Chen was originally carrying the universe's super invincible dog down, but as he spoke, he took a closer look and couldn't help but curse. He stared at Invincible Dog in disbelief. Wasn't this little thing leveling up too fast? Compared to him, it wasn't much weaker. What did you say? Qing Menjing got a huge shock and hurriedly took a close look at the unrivaled dog. Discovering that what Xiao Chen said was indeed right, her entire face immediately darkened and she said gloomily, Its cultivation is even higher than mine. This lady can't even compare to a stray dog, what's the point of cultivating? Qing Menjing really felt a deep sense of defeat. She was at least able to cultivate in a place like the Kuei Mountain sect, where the heaven and earth spiritual qi was abundant, and she also consumed a lot of expensive medicinal herbs to be able to advance to level 1 Devil Master in such a short period of time. She originally thought that although her aptitude wasn't too outstanding, it wouldn't be too bad either. In the end, she couldn't even compare to Xiao Chen, this trash, and in the end, she wasn't even as strong as a stray dog. There was no justice in this world. Missy, don't be too sad. Invincible Dog being able to reach this realm is actually a special case. It secretly ate the medicinal dregs left behind by Yi Xiaoya and I, and then somehow became a cultivator dog. Xiao Chen saw that Qing Menjing was about to lose hope and quickly explained. Medicinal dregs? Is it the kind you gave Grandpa Jean to eat? Do you have any leftover medicinal dregs? Hurry up and hand it over. Give as much as you have. I want to try some too, maybe I can also level up. If I'm not careful, I'll be able to reach level 10 Perfect Devil King. Qing Menjing's eyes lit up as she eagerly pulled Xiao Chen. This series of recent encounters made the Missy strongly realize for the first time how important it was to improve her own strength. Don't even think about it. Those medicinal dregs can only be used for healing. They cannot increase a cultivator's level, otherwise I would have given them to you long ago. Invincible Dog is probably because of physique, it is, and it is. Xiao Chen shrugged his shoulders helplessly. Those medicinal dregs weren't anything rare. If he could use them, he wouldn't mind letting the eldest misuse them. Sigh, forget it. I'll just cultivate in peace. When Qing Menjing heard this, she shook her head in disappointment. She had thought that she could increase her strength quickly and help Xiao Chen when she encountered danger. However, it seemed that it was impossible now. She could only cultivate steadily and steadily. All right, it's very late now, you should rest early. I don't think this villa is very safe. There are also the Xiao family and the Qing family. I guess the Quishan sect will target us sooner or later. Let's move to another place tomorrow. As Xiao Chen spoke to Qing Menjing, he walked back and forth in the villa, using his remaining vitality to set up a few surveillance arrays. Qing Menjing had experienced so many things today and was really tired. She didn't say much and turned back to her room. The invincible dog followed Xiao Chen's side eagerly. Xiao Chen finished setting up the magic circle, then squatted down and said to Invincible Dog, I'm injured, and Miss isn't strong enough. We're here to seek refuge, so we need your help. The invincible dog looked at Xiao Chen and barked, as if it could completely understand what he was saying. While I'm healing, look after the house. Don't let any strangers in. If anyone tries to sneak in, let me know immediately. Can you do that? Xiao Chen knew what Invincible Dog was capable of, so he went straight to the point. Invincible Dog barked again, ran to the door of the villa, and lay down. Then, it turned to look at Xiao Chen. I'm going back to heal first. When things are over, I'll boil some herbal dregs for you. Xiao Chen nodded happily, then turned back to his room. Xiao Chen took a shower first, then sat down cross-legged to check his internal injuries. After a while, Xiao Chen was depressed to find that although his injuries weren't too serious and could be healed with vitality, there seemed to be some demonic qi left in his body, blocking his dantian. It was difficult to get rid of it in a short time. In this way, it was difficult for him to fully exert his strength. If he were to fight Ma Wuxia, he basically had no chance of winning. The situation was really not optimistic. Xiao Chen sighed. It seemed that he could only use vitality to heal his internal injuries first, then think of a way to slowly refine this demonic qi. Hopefully, there wouldn't be two strong enemies looking for trouble during this period of recovery. The next morning, while Xiao Chen was still healing himself, his phone, which was at the side, suddenly rang. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, picked up the phone, and saw that it was Xia Zhili. He quickly pressed the answer button. Xiao Chen, I heard that you killed Ma Longfly from the Quishan sect last night. Where are you now? What's going on? Before Xiao Chen could speak, Xia Zhili on the other end of the phone asked impatiently, his tone very anxious. Well, it's like this. Xiao Chen nodded, briefly explained what happened, then told Xia Zhili that he was now back in Songning City. Sigh, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you're really too impulsive. Xia Zhili said with a tone of reproach, Ma Wuxia has now issued an endless kill order and sent out most of the Quishan sect's disciples. They're doing their best to hunt you down. I understand. Xiao Chen had already expected this situation. Judging from Ma Wuxia's crazy expression last night, he would definitely not let him go so easily. Bureau Chief Ling has already gone to help you. He asked me to tell you that your bank card is being monitored by the Quishan sect. Don't use the money in the card for now. Xia Zhili instructed. What? The Quishan sect is so powerful? They can even monitor my bank card? Isn't this a matter of the secular world? Even the Supernatural Investigation Bureau can't do anything to them? This sect is way too powerful. Xiao Chen was really shocked this time. He thought that with the Supernatural Investigation Bureau backing him up, the Quishan sect should be more restrained in the secular world. He did not expect it to become so troublesome. The Quishan sect is also connected to the secular world. They also have considerable strength and informants in the secular world. The bank that you deposited your money in is coincidentally controlled by the Quishan sect, so, you know. Xia Zhili's tone was also very helpless. Although he was the deputy bureau chief of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, which sounded very powerful, there was nothing he could do against the Quishan sect. What the F***ck? Xiao Chen was depressed. He suddenly thought of a serious matter. Oh yes, if I don't touch the money, Ma Wuxia shouldn't have the right to transfer all my money, right? If that's the case, I'll be at a huge loss. He had billions of savings in the bank. Ma Wuxia, that bastard, might just take advantage of it. At the thought of this, Xiao Chen was speechless. That's definitely impossible, unless he doesn't want to open his bank anymore. However, as long as you touch the funds, whether it's a transfer or a withdrawal, Ma Wuxia will find out. So you better be careful. Don't use the money in your card for now. If you need money, I can give you some first. Xia Zhili was also helpless in this matter, so he could only provide some financial help. That's not necessary. I still have some money with me. It should be enough. Although the money in the bank could not be used, Xiao Chen did not need to borrow Xia Zhili's money. At most, he could go back to his old business and sell breakfast again. Alright, call me if you have any difficulties. Xia Zhili did not force him. Before he hung up, he thought of something and warned him again, oh yes, get a new phone number as soon as possible. Don't use this old number for the time being. Who knows when someone will locate it. Okay, I got it. Xiao Chen nodded and chatted with Xia Zhili for a while before hanging up. Looking at the time, it was already past 8:00. Xiao Chen put down the phone and ran out to buy breakfast. The fridge in the villa was already empty. Otherwise, he would have made something for the Missy himself. After buying breakfast, Xiao Chen added some vitality to the breakfast as usual. Then, he went upstairs to wake the Missy up. When he stood at the door of the Missy's room, Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. This feeling was too familiar, it was as if he had returned to the days when he was a servant. Not long after, Qing Menjing walked out of the room yawning. Looking at the dark circles under her eyes, it was obvious that she did not sleep well. However, the Missy was considered a cultivator now, so it was not a big problem for her to sleep less. Therefore, she did not lose her temper at Xiao Chen. While eating breakfast, Xiao Chen told the Missy about his bank card being targeted by the Quishan sect. Qing Menjing was also depressed after hearing it. This villa is probably not very safe. We may be monitored at any time. After breakfast, let's leave here. In case we are suddenly attacked. Xiao Chen said while stuffing breakfast into his mouth. That's good, but then, where are we going to live? Qing Menjing's face was a little gloomy. Since the Qing family was grounded by the Quishan sect, the Qing family had a hard time. She did not have much money at hand. Even if she wanted to rent a house, it was not practical. I've made up my mind. We'll move to the place where Tang Tang used to live and settle down. I'll go to the morning market to sell fried dough sticks for a while to earn some living expenses. After a while, we'll make other plans. Xiao Chen said the countermeasures he had thought about. Although he could go back to the Xiao family, he thought it was better not to expose himself after hearing what Xia Zhili said. Chapter 864. Cheng Menjing didn't object. She knew that she couldn't ask her family for help now. Otherwise, they were likely to be involved, and it would be a big problem. After breakfast, they packed up. Cheng Menjing thought for a while and decided to take Invincible Dog with her. Its strength was very high now. If there was any danger, it might be able to help. When she returned to the Tang family, she bought the place where she used to live. After all, it had left her and Xiao Chen a lot of good memories. So no one lived there and it had been vacant. Xiao Chen opened the door with his primordial qi and walked in. How long has it been since someone lived here? And there is only one room and one bathroom. How can two of us live here? Cheng Menjing followed Xiao Chen and looked around. She couldn't help but complain in a low voice. Looking at the corridor that was covered in cobwebs, as well as the dusty desk and bed, the young lady was about to collapse. On the way here, Cheng Menjing saw the dilapidated outer wall of the community, and her heart was faintly worried. Originally, she secretly prayed that this was a special period, and she couldn't ask for too much. As long as the place could be a little cleaner and brighter, it would be enough. She didn't expect the real situation to be so terrible. It's not that bad, is it? But it's a little dirty. It's okay. Wait a minute. I'll clean it up. Xiao Chen scratched his head and took the initiative to pick up the broom. He began to clean the room inside and outside. Cheng Menjing stood at the side and watched for a while. When she saw Xiao Chen busy himself, she felt a little apologetic. She mentally prepared herself for a long time and finally plucked up the courage to put on the rubber gloves and apron from the villa. Then she picked up a rag and a bucket and began to help Xiao Chen clean. After working for about half an hour, the two of them finally cleaned the whole house. Cheng Menjing looked at the clean house and admired the results of her labor. She nodded with satisfaction. In the past, when she was at home, she basically didn't do housework. Now that she finally had the chance to do it, her heart was immediately filled with a sense of accomplishment. Aya, eldest miss, your face is covered in dust, you look like a big tabby cat. Stand there and don't move. I'll help you wipe it. Xiao Chen said as he took out a wet tissue and carefully wiped the stains on Cheng Menjing's face. Oh, thank you. Cheng Menjing closed her eyes in embarrassment and let the wet tissue gently wipe her cheeks. A strange sense of happiness suddenly welled up in her heart. She felt that she and Xiao Chen were like a loving couple. Ah! What am I thinking? Cheng Menjing's heart skipped a beat and she quickly held her breath, fearing that Xiao Chen would notice something wrong. All right, it's all cleaned up. Xiao Chen threw the wet tissue into the wastepaper basket, then took out the mat he brought from the villa and laid it on the narrow corridor. What are you doing? Cheng Menjing, who had just enjoyed the feeling of happiness, asked in astonishment. Xiao Chen pointed to the room and said, You sleep in my room from now on, and I'll sleep here. No way. It's so narrow that I can't even turn over. How can I sleep here? You'd better sleep on the floor in the room. It's more comfortable than squeezing in the corridor. Cheng Menjing didn't expect that Xiao Chen would take the initiative to sleep on the floor in the corridor. She was a little bit reluctant and said hesitantly. That's not good, is it? You're the eldest miss, of course, you should sleep in the big room. I'm just a servant. How can I sleep in the same room with you? People will think that I'm taking advantage of you. Xiao Chen smiled and shook his head. Originally, Cheng Menjing was a little hesitant, but when she heard what Xiao Chen said, she suddenly became stubborn. She put her hands on her waist and said, If I ask you to sleep, you should sleep. You're a man, don't be so wishy-washy. What servant? I'm your fiancé. Cheng Menjing stared at Xiao Chen with hatred. She didn't know if this guy did it on purpose. He didn't sleep in the room, but in the corridor. Oh. You want me to sleep with you? Xiao Chen pretended to be ignorant and teased. You. How dare you? Believe it or not, I'll kick you into the sky. Just like the horse dragonfly. Cheng Menjing's face immediately turned red. She rolled her eyes at Xiao Chen in annoyance and said while gritting her teeth. She even raised her leg as if to show off. Ugh. I'm just kidding. Why did you take it seriously? Xiao Chen laughed. He picked up the mat again and took it to the room to lay it. Then, he walked out with the basket. As he walked, he said, Menjing, I'm going to buy some daily necessities and things for tomorrow's stall. Then, I'll buy some vegetables and prepare for tonight's dinner. You stay at home and play with Invincible Dog. Wait for me. I'm going too. There's nothing here. I'll be bored to death if I just stay here. Cheng Menjing quickly followed. She wanted to watch a few episodes of School Bell's Bodyguard on iQIYI, but this broken place didn't even have Wi-Fi. Woof. Invincible Dog, who was originally sleeping in the corner, also barked and ran over. It followed closely behind them. It seemed that it didn't want to stay at home. Well, then let's go together. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head. It seemed that after he made money from selling breakfast, the first thing he needed to do was to install Wi-Fi. Now that the price of broadband had dropped and increased, he could still afford it. 2 people and a dog strolled to the vicinity of the morning market. They walked into the market and began to stroll. They looked like a young couple, a perfect match, which attracted many envious gazes. This was the first time Miss Cheng went to the market in her life. As she walked, she looked around. No matter what she saw, she felt that everything was very fresh. Xiao Chen had been here many times, so he was already familiar with the place. He first bought some vegetables and meat for dinner. Then, he bought a bag of flour and a bag of soybeans for tomorrow's breakfast. Finally, he bought some daily necessities. Feeling that he had bought almost everything, Xiao Chen carried a few big bags and left the market with Cheng Menjing and Invincible Dog. The shopping process was very smooth, but what surprised Xiao Chen was that although it was the young mistress's first time shopping in the market, she was very experienced in haggling, as if it was a natural skill she had. Sometimes, just for the price of a few cents, she would argue until the other party had no choice but to compromise. Humph. How is it? I'm good, right? I helped you save a few yuan this time. Cheng Menjing was also carrying 2 bags of fruits in her hands. She looked very proud. I didn't expect to bargain with those hawkers. It seems that it is quite interesting. It seems that I can often come here to practice in the future. I say, young miss, although we really don't have much money now, you don't have to fight with others for a few cents, right? Those vegetable hawkers are actually not having it easy. We don't lack that little money. Xiao Chen smiled helplessly. Recalling the scene of Cheng Menjing arguing with the hawker, he still felt that it was a little unbelievable. Who would have thought that the young miss of Songming's first aristocratic family would actually bargain with a vegetable hawker in the market for a small profit? No one would believe it if it was said out. Cheng Menjing didn't wait for the praise, but she heard a criticism instead. She was suddenly furious. She stared at Xiao Chen and said angrily, "Wow, Xiao Chen, when you were down and out, in order to buy a few packets of instant noodles, you had to bargain with others. In the end, you only saved 30 cents after dawdling for an hour. Now you are actually criticizing me? Ugh. Well, it seems that our bargaining skills are not good. Enemies really don't meet each other." Xiao Chen shook his head and teased. He took one of the bags of fruits from the young mistress' hands and suddenly made a turn. He did not walk into the neighborhood that the 2 of them lived in. Instead, he walked toward a grocery store not far away. TSK. Who is your enemy? Don't think so highly of yourself. Cheng Menjing pouted. She was about to belittle Xiao Chen a few more words when she suddenly saw him walking to the grocery store. She thought that Xiao Chen was going to buy something again, so she quickly chased after him and asked, "What else do you want to buy? We've spent a lot of money today." Xiao Chen didn't have time to explain to Cheng Menjing. He directly greeted the old lady sitting outside the grocery store. "Auntie, do you still remember me?" The old lady, who had been basking in the sun, raised her head and looked at Xiao Chen carefully. She nodded and said, "Yes, I do. Aren't you my boyfriend?" Xiao Chen put the fruits on the table and said with a smile, "Thank you for looking after our tricycle and equipment for me and Tang Tang. These fruits are for you to eat. Please like them." After Tang Tang left, the old lady of the grocery store kept her tricycle and equipment very well. In order to prevent them from getting wet in the rain, she specially covered them with a plastic sheet. Xiao Chen had seen it just now with his sharp eyes. The old lady waved her hand and said with a little embarrassment, "Hey. It's good enough that you remember to visit me. Why did you spend money to buy fruits? Don't you know how sorry I am?" It's my pleasure. I've troubled you for so long. It's a little gift from me and Tang Tang." Xiao Chen replied with a smile. In fact, Xiao Chen originally wanted to give the old lady a sum of money so that she could enjoy her leisure life. She didn't have to work from dawn to dusk to open the store. But considering that he didn't have much money on hand, he had to put it aside for the time being. He would give it to her when he made money in the future. Qing Menjing stood beside him for a while. Only then did she understand Xiao Chen's intention. Although she was very satisfied with Xiao Chen's humble and polite attitude toward the old lady, when she heard Tang Tang's boyfriend, she got angry again. Since even the old lady said so, it meant that these two people had been secretly having sex for a long time. This Xiao Chen obviously didn't take me, his fiancée, seriously. Qing Menjing, who was in a bad mood, glared at Xiao Chen and snorted coldly from her nostrils. Chapter 865. Oh. You are Tang Tang? The old woman heard the voice and turned around. But when she saw Qing Menjing's appearance, she was stunned and asked doubtfully. "I'm not." Qing Menjing answered grumpily. "Are your eyes blind? Tang Tang was so fat. How could I be her? I'm the campus belle." The old woman seemed to hear Qing Menjing's murmur in her heart. She looked at her carefully and shook her head, "No. Even if Tang Tang lost weight, she's still better looking than you. Young man, what's going on? I think you and Tang Tang are a good match. How could you fall in love with someone else? You." Humph. Qing Menjing was so angry that she almost fainted. She wanted to say something to refute, but she didn't know how to say it. She couldn't lose her temper to an old woman, could she? So she could only stand there and sulk. "Well, Auntie, I'm here to tell you that my friend wants to do some small business in this morning market. He needs to borrow Tang Tang's tricycle and equipment. So please take care of him in the future." Xiao Chen was also a little embarrassed, so he changed the topic and said his purpose of coming here. He didn't want to say too much to the old woman. After all, the old woman was just an ordinary person in the secular world. Even if he wanted to explain Tang Tang's experience, it would take a long time. "Oh, okay, I see." The old woman changed her previous warm attitude and responded indifferently. Obviously, she was not very satisfied with Xiao Chen's abandonment of Tang Tang, and her face didn't look very good. "Thank you very much. I'm leaving now. Bye, Auntie." Xiao Chen said goodbye with a bitter smile. He could also see that the old woman didn't like him, but he couldn't deal with it properly. He had to leave with Qing Menjing. Alas, young people nowadays forget their roots when they have a little money in their pockets. I must post this on Weibo and denounce him. The old woman looked at Xiao Chen's back, shook her head and sighed. Then she took out the ancient smartphone and pressed it. If Xiao Chen knew about this, he would probably vomit blood, right? When they got home, it was already night time. Xiao Chen went straight to the kitchen and made a few dishes for dinner with the things he bought today. Although the dishes were still delicious, Qing Menjing was a little unhappy. It was obvious that she was still bothered by the previous incident. Damn it. How dare she say that I'm not as beautiful as Tang Tang? That old lady is so blind. Xiao Chen, why are you looking for her when you have nothing better to do? Qing Menjing pouted and kept poking at the rice in her bowl with her chopsticks as she complained unhappily. I have to borrow something. I can't possibly use my original appearance to set up a stall tomorrow, right? Wouldn't that be waiting to be caught? If I change my appearance and the old lady doesn't recognize me, wouldn't it be troublesome if she refuses to lend me those things? Xiao Chen explained helplessly. Originally, he just wanted to explain to the old lady, but he didn't expect the old lady to be so outspoken, resulting in such an awkward situation. Humph. Tell me honestly, between me and Tang Tang, who is prettier? Qing Menjing knew the reason behind Xiao Chen's action, but she still persisted in her questions. Qing Menjing knew the reason behind Xiao Chen's actions. Well, to be honest, both of you are very beautiful. Miss, your temperament is better, and Tang Tang's figure is better. All in all, you each have your own merits. Xiao Chen thought for a moment and replied solemnly. He did not want to be too sure, in case he said too much and made more mistakes. Well, that's more like it. Qing Menjing finally nodded in satisfaction. In fact, she knew that her breasts were not as big as Jean Bei's and Tang Tang's, but at least her temperament was better than theirs. That was enough. After dinner, Xiao Chen cleaned up the tableware and began to make the materials for tomorrow. Qing Menjing was very bored. She wanted to help Xiao Chen, but after trying a few times, she still could not figure out the way. In a fit of anger, she directly returned to her room and played with the invincible dog. It was a quiet night. At 4:00 in the morning the next day, Xiao Chen got up on time. He turned his face into someone else's and prepared to sell breakfast. Hearing the noise, Qing Menjing woke up, too. She struggled to get out of bed tiredly. Xiao Chen, wait a minute. I'm going to sell breakfast with you, too. The young lady particularly wanted to help Xiao Chen. She could not let him do all the work alone. After all, she was a major reason why the two of them ended up like this. That's unnecessary. Selling breakfast is too exhausting. Besides, there is a lot of smoke when I fry the deep-fried dough sticks. It won't be good if your eyes get blinded. I can take care of it myself. Just sleep a little longer. I'll come back and make breakfast for you after I'm done. Xiao Chen waved his hand and motioned Qing Menjing to go back to sleep. He did not want the young lady to suffer with him. You don't have to worry about that. Anyway, I can do what Tang Tang can do. I'm not worse than her. Qing Menjing said stubbornly. She was determined to go with Xiao Chen. She was really stimulated by what the old auntie said yesterday. She wanted to do something with all her might. You can do what Tang Tang can do. She can help me. You don't seem to. Can you? Xiao Chen could not help whispering. What did you say? Qing Menjing widened her eyes and looked at Xiao Chen incredulously. If it were someone else, she would have slapped him. Nothing much, I just said that you look good today. Xiao Chen rubbed his nose a little awkwardly, he almost let it slip. Humph. No wonder you like her so much. It turns out that she seduces you like this every day. She's really, really shameless. Qing Menjing rolled her eyes and muttered. I didn't. Don't blame Tang Tang wrongly. That was a long time ago, okay? We were really buddies before. Xiao Chen was a little anxious to defend himself, but he felt a little helpless. Anyway, Tang Tang did hint to him several times at that time, but he didn't care at that time. Humph, you never speak the truth. Who would believe you? Qing Menjing saw Xiao Chen was still speaking for Tang Tang. She said angrily. Then. Are you still going to learn from Tang Tang? Xiao Chen did not want to dwell on this matter, so he interrupted with a smile. I only learn from her good points. I don't learn from her bad points. I'm going to sell breakfast. And, all the money I earn will be at my disposal. Do you hear me? Qing Menjing said aggressively with her hands on her waist. In fact, Tang Tang's time is also good. Xiao Chen whispered again. But when he saw Qing Menjing's face sank, he quickly said, "Well, if you really want to go, I have to put on makeup for you. Otherwise, if you go out like this, I'm afraid you will be exposed in a few days." Qing Menjing had no opinion on this point. Therefore, Xiaochen took some of the cosmetics used by young mistresses and made her look like a village girl in no time. He even specially picked a simpler set of clothes for her to wear. After everything was done, the two of them picked up the things they had prepared yesterday and went out to the morning market street. When they arrived at the grocery store, Xiaochen put the things away and let Qing Menjing sit in the back. Then he skillfully rode on the tricycle to the stall on the morning street. Because he and Tang Tang's stall had been given to Lin's family to sell beef plate noodles, Xiaochen did not intend to take it back. So he simply drove directly to the original location of the Lin's stall. Although the original stall of Lin's family was located at the back and the location was not very good, Xiaochen believed that with his craftsmanship, he could soon make the business prosperous again. After all, the previous prosperity was there. The ability of a cultivator was not just a bluff. Qing Menjing, on the other hand, carefully sat behind the tricycle. As she watched Xiaochen leisurely ride the tricycle, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Regardless of whether it was a high-end sports car worth a few million, or an economical car worth a few $100,000, she had ridden on almost all of them. However, she never expected that she would be reduced to sitting behind a broken tricycle like this. He recalled a joke that he had seen on the internet before. It said that one would rather cry in a BMW than laugh behind a bicycle. But now that he was really sitting behind a bicycle, he felt that he couldn't laugh at all. Xiaochen had no idea what the young lady was thinking at this time. He came to the previous stall of the Lin's family with familiarity, then jumped off the tricycle and moved down the oil pan, gas tank, and noodles one by one. He put them in the open space, lit a fire, and put it aside to preheat. He took out the dough prepared yesterday and skillfully began to knead the dough, kneading it into the shape of fried dough sticks and fried cakes. "Xiaochen, I remember that the previous stall of you and Tang Tang was very busy. It didn't seem to be so remote. Did you not come to the morning market street for a long time and remember the location wrong?" Qing Menjing also jumped off the tricycle, rubbed her butt that hurt from sitting, looked around at the few passers-by around and asked with a puzzled face. "Oh, the previous stall has already been given to Lin Kuer's family to sell beef noodles. This stall now belongs to their family. Because the location isn't too good, there will be fewer people." Xiaochen was focused on kneading the dough, and didn't even raise his head as he replied. "What? Lin?" Qing Menjing suddenly jumped up and said angrily, "Why give such a good stall to her? I order you to exchange it with her immediately. There are too few passers-by here, and the business must be bad. We can't make money." It was no wonder that the young lady was mad. She felt very uncomfortable as long as she heard the name of Lin. At that time, Xiaochen left his beautiful fiancée and ran to pursue Lin. Now he even gave her the stall. It seemed that there was really a problem between the two in private. "How can I do that? The thing has been given out. There is no reason to take it back." Xiaochen did not agree to Qing Menjing's request. Instead, he carefully put the long fried dough sticks into the pan and said while frying, "Besides, that stall was given to Lin by me. I have no right to ask." Chapter 866. Humph. You're talking nonsense. Why would you give the stall to others for no reason? The way I see it, you must still be thinking about Lin Kuer. That's why you don't dare to get her back and even want to push the blame onto Tang Tang. Qing Menjing glanced sideways at Xiaochen as she made sarcastic remarks. Xiaochen shook his head and didn't bother to argue with Qing Menjing. Instead, he skillfully threw the fried dough stick into the oil pan. It didn't take long for a golden and well-proportioned fried dough stick to be fried. Seeing that he didn't refute, Qing Menjing was about to say a few more words. Seeing that Xiaochen simply fried the fried dough stick, she immediately forgot the previous things and said eagerly, "Xiaochen, let me try. You go knead the dough. Miss, you can help me sell things." Let me do the rough work of frying the fried dough stick. Xiao Chen didn't give up his position immediately, but simply refused. He wasn't worried about Qing Menjing's fried dough stick was not good, but he was afraid that the delicate and noble young lady would be scalded by the splashing oil foam. That would be troublesome. Well, stinky Xiao Chen, you look down on me, don't you? Although I haven't fried dough stick before, I may not be worse than you. You see, I'm born to bargain, right? Give me the chopsticks. Seeing that Xiao Chen actually refused her, Qing Menjing simply grabbed the long chopsticks in his hand and fried them in a dignified manner. Well, then be careful, don't get scalded. Seeing this, Xiao Chen had to shake his head helplessly and concentrated on kneading the dough to make the fried dough stick. He also knew the temper of the young lady. As long as she wanted to try something, he basically couldn't pull her back, so he just let her be. Don't worry, I'm a cultivator now. Even if I get scalded a few times, it won't be a big deal, and I'm still wearing gloves, right? Qing Menjing waved her hand and said confidently. Then she began to concentrate on turning the fried dough stick and fried cake in the pan. After a while, after making some reserve materials, Xiao Chen turned his head to look at the situation on Qing Menjing's side. But at a glance, he was immediately shocked. Some of the youtiao that was fried by the eldest miss and placed outside were thick at one end and thin at the other end. Some were soft and didn't look cooked at all. There were also many that were directly fried until they were charred, making it impossible for people to eat them. They couldn't be eaten at all. As for the fried cakes, they were even more miserable. Some of them were mashed together, some of them were irregularly shaped, and there were even a few pieces of fillings that leaked out. They were lying crookedly on the plate. The scene was simply too horrible to look at. I say, young lady, what kind of breakfast are you selling here? An old man came to the stall with a vegetable basket. Obviously, he was passing by and wanted to eat breakfast. But at this time, he looked at the food on the stall with some confusion. He rubbed his eyes, thinking that his presbyopia was acting up again. Old man, are you kidding? I'm selling fried dough sticks and fried cakes. How can you not recognize them? Look. Qing Menjing saw that a customer had finally come. She was about to introduce them, but when she heard the old man say that, she was suddenly unhappy. She wiped the sweat on her forehead, turned her head and pointed at the things that she had fried, and then, was stunned. No wonder the old man would say that. He couldn't tell what those balls of suspicious objects were. Ahem, I've lived for most of my life, and this is the first time I've seen fried dough sticks and fried cakes like this. The old man looked at it for a while, waved his hand, and said helplessly, forget it, I'll go eat something else. I don't know what will happen if I eat it. I still want to live a few more years. Old man, wait a minute. Xiao Chen saw that the situation was not good. He helped the old man to the table, and then quickly fried a few fried dough sticks. He put a bowl of tofu pudding on the table and said enthusiastically, my shop just opened today. Maybe my girlfriend's cooking is not very good, so the fried is not very good. Please forgive me. Since you are our first customer, this breakfast is on me. I hope you don't mind. Humph. Who is your girlfriend? Qing Menjing was ridiculed by the old man. She was already angry. When she heard Xiao Chen talk to himself and said that she was his girlfriend, she snorted unwillingly and turned her face away. Okay. The old man looked at the fried dough sticks that Xiao Chen fried. They were quite decent, so he was relieved. He sat on the chair and ate. He said while eating, Young man, your cooking is really good. The fried dough sticks are just right, and the taste is also very good. Little girl, you still need to practice your hands a little more. Otherwise, sooner or later, this store of yours will close down because of you. You. Qing Menjing was about to explode. I gave you free food, and you still have so much to say. Really? After the old man finished eating and left, Xiao Chen cleaned up the table and took the chopsticks from Qing Menjing's hand. He said casually, Miss, let me do the fried dough sticks. You just need to be responsible for the marketing and sales. Xiao Chen used the chopsticks to put all the food that Qing Menjing fried into a bag. He planned to eat it as breakfast after closing the stall. Woof! When Xiao Chen was about to put away the bag, Invincible Dog, who was squatting on the side, suddenly barked. Its small eyes stared at the bag in Xiao Chen's hand, and then it stuck out its tongue and licked its lips. It looked like it was hungry. I almost forgot about you. Since you are hungry, I will give you something to eat first. Xiao Chen took out 2 pieces of what looked like fried cakes and fried dough sticks from the bag and threw them in front of Invincible Dog. Invincible Dog did not care about the strange shapes of those things. It lowered its head and ate with relish. Xiao Shen. Although the food that I fried doesn't look good, there is no need for you to feed it to a dog. I think you are asking for a beating. Qing Menjing roared angrily. If it were not for the fact that she had to maintain her ladylike image in public, she would have already kicked him. Hee, since Invincible Dog is hungry, I will give it some first. Invincible Dog is not an ordinary dog, how can it be the same? Xiao Chen shrugged and said nonchalantly. Before Qing Menjing could say anything, they heard 2 whimpering sounds under their feet. It turned out that Invincible Dog had already finished eating. At this time, it raised its head and looked at the 2 of them with eager eyes. It kept wagging its tail, looking like it was not full. Stinky dog. You are not allowed to eat my food anymore. Other dogs can still pick up a purse or a slipper for their owner, but you can't do anything and still eat so much. I really don't know what the point of raising you is. Qing Menjing angrily slapped Invincible Dog's head and scolded it with a sullen face. Woo! Invincible Dog seemed to understand the young miss lesson. It lowered its head pitifully and pitifully. Sigh, you really are forgetful. Wasn't it Invincible Dog who helped you find your bracelet? How can you say that it is useless? As Xiao Chen spoke, her hands did not stop moving. Very quickly, she fried a lot of golden, shiny fried dough sticks and fried cakes. The stall was filled to the brim, and just looking at it made one's appetite increase. You still have the nerve to say that. Look at it yourself. We have been open for so long and only 1 customer came, and it was a free trial. Why are you frying so many fried dough sticks and fried cakes now? What if you can't sell them? Qing Menjing did not care about being angry with Invincible Dog and quickly asked anxiously. Seeing that it was getting late, there were more and more people on the morning market street, but no one came to patronize her business. It was really strange. Oh, don't be too anxious. Someone will come in a while. Xiao Chen did not care and continued to lower her head to busy herself with the work in her hands. Although Qing Menjing saw it and was anxious in her heart, there was nothing she could do at the moment. How could she advertise for business? She could only stand there stupidly and watch the crowd come and go. Her fingers kept rubbing her clothes, and her eyes kept rolling. No one knew what she was thinking. Selling fried dough sticks, soy milk, tofu pudding, fried cakes. That one, don't miss it. After a while, Qing Menjing finally plucked up her courage and whispered to the crowd. However, her voice was like a mosquito's buzz, and it was quickly drowned in the bustling morning market street. No one heard it at all. Eldest miss, did you say something just now? I saw you open your mouth, but I didn't hear any sound for a long time. Did you already learn the skill of demonic sound transmission? Xiao Chen had just finished the work in his hands and smiled as he teased. Go to hell. I am trying to advertise for business. Are your ears deaf? If you only work and don't shout, when will you be able to sell so many fried dough sticks? Qing Menjing didn't make a sound like a mosquito this time. With a cold face, she said in a loud voice. You shouted so softly, who can hear you? Look who came to patronize. Xiao Chen smiled and shook his head. If you have the ability, shout. Qing Menjing was annoyed and depressed. She turned her head away hatefully. You can't shout like that. Xiao Chen smiled slightly and shouted, "Take a look, take a look. The Tang breakfast shop has reopened. Today's opening promotion, 20% discount. Don't miss it. Today you can buy first serve, or you will have to wait in line to buy it tomorrow." Xiao Chen's shout quickly attracted the attention of many passers-by, but most people were watching the fun, and few people were buying. Many people in the morning market had eaten the youtiao sold by Xiao Chen, so they had a very deep impression of it. However, towards this newly opened stall, as well as the two completely unfamiliar faces, the passers-by only held the attitude of watching a bustling scene. They stood at the side and whispered to each other. No one was willing to be the first to try something new. Why Tang breakfast? Since it is opened by me, of course, it should be called Cheng's. Hurry up and change the name. Cheng Menjing frowned and ordered very unhappily. Although their equipment was borrowed from her, after all, she was the boss. How could she use a name that had nothing to do with her? Chapter 867. That's what we used to call it. It's a long-established brand. If we call it Cheng's, I guess no one will buy it. Xiao Chen explained. But we can't use the name of Tang Tang. Now we're partners. How about, we call it Xiao Ji's? Cheng Menjing held her chin and pondered for a while, then said thoughtfully. Puff. Hearing Cheng Menjing's words, Xiao Chen almost choked. He blushed and choked for a long time before he said, "Miss, can't you talk nicely? Just call it Xiao Ji's. Don't use the word bar together. It's easy to misunderstand, okay?" What do you mean? Misunderstand what? Cheng Menjing had no idea what Xiao Chen was talking about. She was confused and repeated Xiao Ji's bar several times. Then she realized something was wrong. She couldn't help but spit with a red face. Bah. I know you can't say anything good with your stupid mouth. You're so filthy. Shameless. You said it first. Why are you blaming me? Xiao Chen was speechless. He touched his nose and muttered. I don't care. It's your fault anyway. Also, the name of our store is Cheng's. No more changes. Cheng Menjing put her hands on her hips and said firmly. Stop it. It's called Tang's because the old lady in the grocery store is surnamed Tang. This stall used to be hers. We're just borrowing it. Xiao Chen said. Oh, I see. Okay then. Cheng Menjing didn't say anything. She just didn't want to have anything to do with Tang Tang. If it was the old lady's name, she wouldn't mind. As long as she could control the money earned from selling breakfast, it didn't matter what name it was. The Tang breakfast shop is reopening for business, 20% off for today's opening. Seeing that Cheng Menjing finally didn't object, Xiao Chen hurriedly shouted a few more times. More and more people stopped in the surroundings, and people started to gradually approach his stall. Tang's breakfast store? I've never heard of it before. What reloading business? Could it be a scam? I think he must be bragging. The newcomers on this street all know how to brag, but in reality, they're probably not that great. I remember there used to be a fried dough stick shop at the end of the morning market. It was delicious, but it moved away. The onlookers looked at Xiao Chen's fried dough sticks and whispered to each other. Although they were close, most of them were just onlookers. No one was willing to take the initiative to buy it, which made Cheng Menjing anxious. At this time, a middle-aged woman squeezed in and murmured thoughtfully, Huh? The Tang Empire? Isn't that the noodle stall in front? But this boss looks unfamiliar, seems to be someone else. I wonder how he's doing. Don't guess blindly. This stall's noodle is really good. I've personally tasted it just now. It's not worse than the previous noodle stall. You can rest assured and buy it. Outside the crowd, an old voice sounded. Cheng Menjing looked up and saw that it was the old man who had come to taste the food. The basket in his hand that was originally empty was now filled to the brim. It seemed that he had come back from buying groceries and was passing by, so he helped to put in a good word for her. Since this old man said so, then let's buy some to try. Anyway, it's just breakfast. It doesn't cost much. The middle-aged woman said casually. Then she walked a few steps to Xiao Chen's stall, bought 2 fried dough sticks and a bowl of soy milk, and sat on the side. After taking a bite, the middle-aged woman's face showed a satisfied smile. She nodded heavily and said, "Yes, this is the taste. It can't be wrong. It's really delicious." When everyone saw that the middle-aged woman was eating with relish, as if it was very delicious, they were finally a little tempted. They all came forward to buy it. The youtiao and fried cakes that Xiao Chen had just fried were quickly sold out. After everyone ate it, they also praised it. They shouted that it was delicious and fought to buy a second portion. However, at this time, they couldn't buy it directly because many people didn't get it the first time. There was already a long line, so they could only line up at the back. Xiao Chen was busy again. He kept frying the fried dough sticks and fried cakes in the pan. Cheng Menjing was responsible for weighing the fried dough sticks and collecting money for the customers. Both of them were very busy. Once they were busy, time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already past 8 in the morning. Because the business was very good, all the breakfast that Xiao Chen made had been sold out. There was not much left of the materials that he prepared yesterday, but he still left a little dough like before. He planned to give it to the old woman in the grocery store when he went back. Cheng Menjing carefully counted the income on the side. This was the first time she made money with her own ability. Although the money she earned was less than the fraction of her usual pocket money, and her whole face was greasy and her body was wet with sweat, her mood was very carefree. There was a different sense of satisfaction. "Hey! Who allowed you to set up a stall here?" When the two finished cleaning up and were preparing to close the stall, 2 guys in security uniforms suddenly walked over from a distance and stopped in front of the 2 people. One of them, a thin man with squinting eyes, crossed his arms and asked with a fierce face, "Do you have a stall permit? Have you paid the protection fee?" What protection fee? What's the permit for setting up a stall?" Cheng Menjing was shocked by the sudden appearance of the person and was stunned. "What protection fee? All the stalls in the morning market are bought out. Why haven't I heard of any stall permit? Are you from the market management office?" Xiao Chen frowned and asked. When he and Tang Tang set up a stall before, he didn't hear that there was a charge. "What's going on? Yo, you're quite arrogant, kid." The thin man with squinting eyes glared and took out a rubber stick from behind him. He knocked on the stall heavily and said fiercely, "Cut the crap. Let me tell you. If you want to set up a stall in the morning market, you have to pay a protection fee of 1,000 yuan. If you don't have a stall permit, you have to pay a fine of 1,000 yuan. If you want to continue to fool around here, hurry up and pay." Xiao Chen, is that true? Cheng Menjing didn't understand these things. They hadn't made any money yet, and now they had to pay a fine of 2,000 yuan. What should they do? Don't mind these 2 psychopaths. They are just bored, so they come to the morning market to scam money. As soon as the rubber stick came out, Xiao Chen understood that these 2 men were punks. He didn't know where they found 2 security uniforms and wore them to scam people. These tricks could bully those new and ignorant stalls and hawkers, but they didn't work on Xiao Chen at all. "Motherf asterisk cur, you're tired of living, aren't you? How dare you challenge me? I think you're asking for a beating. Let's see if you're honest or not." Seeing that Xiao Chen wasn't intimidated, the other tall and burly man immediately glared at him. He grabbed Xiao Chen's collar and swung his fist, which was the size of an earthenware bowl, towards his face. Crack! The sound of bones breaking was accompanied by a scream. The thin man with squinting eyes said proudly, "You're so cocky. Now you know fear." Huh? He stared dumbfoundedly at Xiao Chen, only to see that Xiao Chen was standing unscathed, while the tall man was hugging his arm and screaming miserably. His entire fist had already been deformed. Ow, ow, ow. The tall man squatted on the ground in pain, sweating non-stop. The thin man with squinting eyes was stunned. He didn't see what happened just now. Wasn't Xiao Chen the one who was beaten? Why was it the other way around? After a while, the thin man with squinting eyes reacted. He pointed at Xiao Chen and scolded, "You dare to provoke us? Don't leave if you have guts. Just you wait." The thin man with squinting eyes said ruthlessly. He helped the tall man up and prepared to leave. "Stop." Before he could take a few steps, Xiao Chen directly rushed over and grabbed the neck of the thin man with squinting eyes. He grabbed the collar of the tall man and dragged both of them back. Cough. "You. What else do you want?" The thin man with squinting eyes was choked until his face turned red. He couldn't breathe. Xiao Chen pointed to the gap on the table and said slowly, "You broke my things and you want to slip away? Stop pretending to be a dead dog. Hurry up and pay up." The thin man with squinting eyes was suddenly dumbfounded. He stuttered to explain, "This. I didn't break it. I'm using a rubber stick. How could I break a wooden table? You're blackmailing me." He was regretting it. He didn't expect the youtiao seller to be a martial artist. Not only was he more arrogant than him, but his strength was also not small. He couldn't break free even if he wanted to. It was really a case of trying to hit a goose but getting pecked in the eye by the goose. Don't say those useless things. Anyway, I saw you break it, and then the case collapsed. What? Do you still want to deny it? Why don't we go to the corner and talk about it? Xiao Chen used his strength and increased the strength of his fingers. The thin man with squinting eyes rolled his eyes. Cough. I'll pay up. Hero, spare my life. The thin man with squinting eyes' face had turned purple. He struggled to breathe heavily. At least you know what's good for you." Xiao Chen let go of his fingers and said lightly, "Since you sincerely want compensation, I won't ask for more from you. How about this? The cost of the case is 1,000 yuan, plus another 1,000 yuan for lost work. You just have to pay me 3,000 yuan. This. Isn't 2,000 yuan added up? How?" The thin man with squinting eyes was suddenly stunned. This guy has a brute force, but why does his math seem to be bad? He was about to bargain. When he looked up, he suddenly saw Xiao Chen's smiling face. It seemed like he was waiting for him to continue. He suddenly shivered and said wittily, "Hero, don't be angry. It really is 3,000 yuan. I'll pay up." He trembled as he took out his wallet from his pocket. The thin man with squinting eyes looked at it and found that there was only 1,000 yuan in it. He had no choice but to take out the tall man's wallet and take out all the money. He didn't bother to count it and handed it all to Xiao Chen. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.